changes, Kate.
Oh, there's the rest of
That's the
it.
changes from yesterday from Karen's and the fire department and the.
Changes in that you've
CIP.
added. Hey, is there any way to get the CIP first?
No,
I think it's kind of silly that we have him last, because then you guys are like, well, why did he remove the scales? Well, we've already seen him, so why would we plan to have the CIP first?
Ask him about that, yeah.
And then we can
Last
make
night was
notes.
painful.
That was really, because he doesn't have that information, it doesn't make any sense. Or all of those people need to be there to answer the questions.
keeps it close to his chest in terms of those particular numbers.
Until he gives them to us.
He's always
And he said he was working
But
on
why?
it, like, right up until
because
the
he says
last
he's never
second.
ready. We've
Well,
scheduled him earlier and he
Have we
cancels.
just tell me how, like, can we just say now, like, you need to be ready next October, you're first?
We have
He's-
no control.
He's a volunteer.
Because it's really the planning board, so we can ask, because one year I complained, it was like 2 years ago, and he says, oh, we're starting early next year. They didn't start early.
It seems like a waste of time to ask
Yeah.
him why
Well, I
they
have
moved
some
the
questions
scales.
about that when we get there.
Well, then we're not gonna
Guess
try to
what?
get them answered. So I'm-
What?
When Tom makes his presentation, let us put that down as one of the things that you.
Recommend,
Yes.
this was last year's, I
Yeah.
wanted, Julie, did you see that email? Julie would like it by 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, so I was like,
That's not reasonable.
Sure, talk to
okay,
We'll see.
we'll see.
So yeah, so I
So
updated the
trying
stuff. I also put on the summary sheet, there's question marks like I did before, of all the
Yeah.
ones we haven't talked about.
Okay.
The other one that's down there is number 61.
Yep.
There is no place on here, she hasn't given me an account code for that. So she said for just purposes of getting this information back to her,
Oh,
stick it under 4199, that 38,340, if we want to do that.
What is 38,430?
That is the interest on the town center project that we got presented last night. That's the year's interest for 2021, which is the budget.
Okay, because I asked you last night if there was anything in here for that and you had not added it yet.
what number did you say?
Number 61,
Oh,
in
61.
terms of line items,
Yeah.
number 61. The
Yeah.
38,430, that's how much the interest would be for a $2.8 million bond in 2021. So if anything, we need to go through all the question marks and see what we want to do. I did move over everything that's in those question marks on this, so if we want to move something back or change it, we can do that.
Okay.
But the numbers that are at the bottom, lines like 70, 69, all the way down, there's some educated guesses. Revenue based on what she submitted, so if we agree with it, we don't agree with it. Using 20,000 from the fund balance, that's really for the contingency, that's all that is. County tax, I just increased by 1%. School tax, we already had a presentation, it's about 3.5%, so that's why I increased it.
Is that with or without the middle school?
That is. without.
How much is the middle school?
I don't know, I haven't got those numbers yet.
Okay.
Julie's supposed to be asking because he gave us a presentation 1 meeting ago, because we didn't have one last time. And they got the guaranteed maximum price of $49,870,000.
Oh, yeah.
So they have to calculate how much our portion of that would be. Education tax, I left the same. Overlaid war service credits. War service credits depends on how many people apply and how many people pass away, so that's just the same number as last year. And then if you go further down, I increased the valuation by 6 million. That's kind of conservative. But just based on all, because there's a lot of assumptions there. That's what your tax rate would be, 3278, increase of 4% overall.
So that includes what? That includes everything that was asked for?
Everything, yes.
Police,
Does that include the
now
police?
fire,
Yep, the police is all in there.
Is the fire?
I did put the fire in there because he just brought that up last night.
Okay.
So I do have on my laptop the thing, so if we say we want to do the fire person, we can figure out how much go into each category. Because there's the health insurance, all the stuff to the state in terms of retirement,
right?
and all that stuff, so. What was the other thing? Oh, the other thing I plugged in, which the CIP people don't do, is the reevaluation deposit to the trust fund and the accrued benefits.
Yeah.
So I just stuck in the same thing as last year, we can talk about those too, so. I think that's it.
Why was the state revenue down by 2.44%? Didn't everybody get that one-time shot in the arm that's supposed to go 2 years?
The 44, yep, yep. There's certain things that are going down, I don't have that right in front of me.
Okay.
That's just based on what we submitted for the tax rate for this year, so really, I don't know, it could go up, it could go down. I'm just using that particular number is what we submitted to the state to set this year's tax rate. So if we think revenue is gonna be up, down, whatever, we can change it if we want. And everything below 69, that's really for us. Because there's so many assumptions.
Yeah.
It just
To
gives-
give us an idea.
Yeah, because one of the things I like to look at is, okay, we want to have all this stuff, how much is this going to cost us, tax rate wise? So really, when I give it to Julie, I'm really going to cut it off at 67 would be the last line. Because I don't necessarily want that stuff out there, not that if somebody asks for it, they can have it, but there's a lot of assumptions in there, so. I made a mistake, was it last year or the year before, I gave her the whole thing, and she submitted everything, so everybody had, so like, oh, my taxes are gonna go.
Last year, you made a bunch of small adjustments
After the
Here and there.
fact, yeah.
after the fact. Was that was that after we did our stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's not really new, I mean, you do that every year.
Yeah.
By you mean the select board?
It was just
Yes.
quite a bit last year, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, I was termed as the slash and burn selectman that year,
Yeah.
so I was
Last
just
year.
uncomfortable with the increase that was going forward. But that's just me, I'm the physically conservative one.
Cleaned, yeah, you cleaned it up, and then if it needed to be put back in, you had to put it back in, whatever, right?
Well, let's talk
To
about question
function.
marks.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
let's
planning
get
and
by the
zoning is
question.
the first one,
First one's planning code zone,
which starts on page 3.
say,
That's helpful to everybody.
That's very
Yes. Planning and
I
zoning,
already, I just sat there looking for it. So their budget's actually
Down at the
down
bottom.
3%, 3.5%.
Yeah, the biggest one is the legal thing.
I was
which she presented.
surprised, yeah, I was kind of surprised she wanted to leave it that high. But
She's got some things.
what's the other
happening.
thing, do you know?
Which other?
That she's talking about, that's the other legal matter that still is
Oh,
an
well,
issue.
we just got done with,
McDonald,
no,
you got done with him, didn't you?
no, oh, McDonald, yeah.
Yeah.
Market Basket, we just finished with
Oh.
Market Basket.
That's done.
So that's done. And in terms of other things, I don't know if there's anything, I don't know what she's talking about. I don't know anything else that's lingering out there. The only thing I know that's against the town is the Fair Point, and I know you
Yeah,
guys
the
settled,
polls or whatever.
but that's
right?
someplace else, that's not in her
yeah,
budget.
that's not in her budget.
So I'm not sure.
So I
The only
wonder-
thing I can think of is what's happening out there.
She said there was another one coming.
I don't know about that one.
Maybe.
what's happening out there?
Maybe it's
Bedrock
this.
Gardens, Bedrock Gardens.
It's still going, yeah.
They still,
Do you know what the issues?
well, they've gone to the court and the court said the town's right, so they need to put in all the things the planning board said they had to do before they can open again. And they've been chafing at the bit because they're expensive. One of them, they already started the parking lot, so they have to have the parking lot in place before they can open. There's a series. Karen's got a list.
Because otherwise they're parking all along the road.
Yeah, and they
right?
can't.
And they need to have a parking.
Well, the court's
So
already
that's just
said
one.
the town's right, so
Right.
that shouldn't be,
I know, but
unless they
that
appeal.
doesn't stop them from procrastinating and giving excuses, and it costs money on their side and it costs money on our side, so. But that's the only thing I know of. I don't know if there's anything else. She hasn't said said.
So that might be that significant, okay.
Lawyers are.
Anyway,
It doesn't take much around.
yeah, to get it up there, okay.
And she said so far she's spent 6,000 this year already, so. But as we know, this is from July 2020 to June 2021, so does she know something 9 months in advance this? I don't know.
Okay.
So we leave it?
Well, I'd make a motion to leave it as presented on the 2020 to
Yeah.
2021.
Yeah. We don't have any basis to change it. We don't have any basis to change it.
I made the motion, so you guys
Okay,
can
so
Oh,
decide.
do we
don't
have
forget
to,
Minutes.
she's taking them for us.
Do we need to make a motion for each section?
That's up to the group, you don't have to. The thing that we need a motion on is what the total amount is,
Yeah.
Okay.
so that's why I brought the.
So let's just go through all this, and if everybody
Okay.
agrees, then, so
Fine
do
with
we all
me.
agree
I
on
was
that?
just trying to get us to move to the next line.
Right, I know. Thank you.
Alright, alright. Well, I stuck those in there already, so that one's good.
So move it over.
Yep.
Now, the 50,000, why are you questioning that?
Well, we didn't talk about it. The 50,000 is really the, and that's not something the board came up with, that's something Julie came up with, because that's the amount from last year. That's the amount for salary increases. So the question mark is there because we never spoke about it. So we can recommend
What-
nothing, we can recommend more or less. We can
What
recommend-
percentage of
It's usually 2%.
is that about? So that's about
That's
2%. I
Because
feel like that's fair.
that's 2% of the increase plus all the cost of the benefits, so.
So keep
Do you
it,
give merit?
It, when it's due, yes.
Is that included in here too?
It's a pool, so it's not like,
If you're gonna give 2% cost of living and you're gonna take the cost of the benefits increase because of that, is there any money left to give merit raises?
usually it's not, if we put 2% in it, it's not usually 2% across the board.
Okay.
And some people are not eligible for it. And some people, like for last year, we gave a 1% across the board, and then merit, and then we gave 2 bonuses. So,
that you choose for certain people that are.
yeah,
allowed
because
to
we
be
have all the
on or whatever.
evaluations.
Yeah.
We'll
yeah.
meet next Monday, and that's part of the non-public. We'll go through all the evaluations, and then we'll assign whatever the across the board is, and then look at merit for everybody, and if they want to apply any bonuses or not. So, but we stay within whatever that pool is.
Then I'd move to 50 over.
Keep it.
Yep.
Okay.
All right,
Next one is the fire department.
Now, does that new number include what?
It doesn't include the new person that he just talked about last night. It includes everything else he asked for.
That's his number.
That's his number. So if you look on page 7, middle of the page, 518, 953, it's the same thing that I have in our column, but we can change any of that. But it doesn't include the one that he mentioned last night.
What did we give him last year? Did we give him a full-time person?
Gave him a
If you look at
full-time
that-
person and some additional part-time hours.
was it, or was it from, yeah, it was a whole,
It was a whole package.
full-time person.
Yeah, whole
It wasn't
full-time
going part-time to full-time, it was,
No,
Like
whole
you got,
full-time
yeah.
person, if my memory serves me right,
Yeah.
and additional part-time hours.
Yeah, if you look at page 6, in near the bottom, you've got, there's an increase in part-time, full-time wages from 98 to 137.
yeah,
And then you've got the firefighter wages, there were nothing the previous year, full-time firefighter wages, and now there's 41,207,
Yeah, and
205.
so we had 2 in 19 and 3 in 20
Yeah.
for full-time and
Yep.
4 part-time and
So
5.
he got a person last year in the fire department and the police didn't.
That's correct.
Right.
Fire, police did.
police.
Okay.
full-
Because we were discussing before you got here that maybe police's turn.
If it's,
And I know you're
if
not
it's
in
one or the
favor of
other,
that.
yeah, and you didn't,
You
I'm
said
not
it on
in
the
favor,
first night.
I'm not in favor of it until we look at the bottom line. I'm looking at his budget, well, we passed the police budget because we already picked it. His increase,
Fire
The
chief.
1.3%.
chief.
Which chief?
Uh, we have too many chiefs.
This
He
chief,
went
Fire
from the current budget, which is $741,000 to $759,000. And that's just his part of it. So I'm
Yes.
not totally against it, but I think for me at least, it comes down to how much is this increase? Because right now, I'm not very happy about a 4% increase in the tax rate. And specifically, the part that we have control over, the town rates are going up 15.12%.
why is it going up so much? Because no one's budgeted like that much.
Well, line number 62 is affecting us, line number 61 is affecting us.
Oh, yeah, I did. Oh.
So
Town
those,
center project,
yeah, so,
Well,
that's the thing.
that's a different thing.
It's a
I
different
know.
thing, yeah. So you're personally not in favor of either?
if I had to be in favor of one of them, I'm more in favor of the police one than the fire one.
Say that one more time, Scott, sorry.
I'm more I'm not necessarily in favor of either of them, but I'm more in favor of the police one than the fire one. So, as we all know, the part that, we pay somebody is, only a small part.
Yeah.
It's like for instance, this fire person, and Julie said, or is it 6? Like we increased the firefighter last year because the new one's $41,206. The total cost of that particular position is about $86,000.
You gave us the number of 84,
Yeah.
which is the worst case
Yeah.
scenario
Yeah.
for this year.
Now, I just ran the things,
Or 83.
Yeah, whatever, but it's
so
close enough for a
it's like
discussion.
double.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well,
no, I
for
understand.
fire or police, it's always that way.
and the thing is, once you get those people in, it's not usually good to get rid of it. So it's hard to get rid of it. So. But I think
So
my
part-
thing is overall, what's
Yeah.
the number?
Okay.
Part of the discussion we were having was that we've been talking about this every year, and you even met with Scott like 3 years ago and had a plan to try to gradually increase to be where we need to be. And same thing with Tom. Every year, like 11 is the magic number. Brian said that's the number that,
If you're gonna do 24-hour coverage with 2 people, yes.
Right. So, are we even like? I don't think it should be a discussion on whether we. Yeah, and of course, nobody wants taxes to go up, and that's the thing. And you do a good job with that.
Sometimes.
You try.
Sometimes not.
But can we have some sort of plan to be able to get this to where it needs to be? Because this has been 3 years that we've been
It's
doing
been
this
more than
now.
this.
And it's been way more than that. It's been 3 years since I've been here talking about it. And we talk about it every year. Fire and police are very important to this town. Probably more important than most, other departments. To keep
Don't
them.
put that in the minutes.
No,
I'm not
I know.
writing that.
No,
I
all
think
the
they need to be
departments are
more
important. Everything is
Sounds-
important, but we
I'll-
need.
Right.
I will agree with you on that. I'm sorry. If
You
we're gonna,
won't,
if we
you
have to
said?
slash, I will. If we have to slash something, I would slash the town center project.
Okay.
For a
That's what I'm-
couple of reasons.
Mhm.
One, I don't understand why we have a space now that feels much smaller than the space everybody's looking to build. I don't get it. And in addition to that, it doesn't deal with the election problem, because that was one of the reasons I was told we had to build a town center, is because our election space isn't big enough. But it doesn't actually address that problem. That's what I was told by Tappan. Was that we have to have so many square feet for the election, and that room is not gonna be enough if the da-da-da-da-da-da. There's a lot of words. Sure you can imagine. So if it doesn't deal with that issue, and we have a space that's much smaller that those people currently work in, I don't understand why we need such a bigger space.
Bigger space for.
The town hall, I don't understand why we're building this
Well,
big building.
Part of the town hall was renovation of,
But-
because it needs to be
But if we
renovated.
can do the town hall in 1,200 square feet, why are we building a 4,000 square foot
That's
space? I don't get it.
based on the programmatic needs of those particular departments, because
Yeah.
we went through this particular process. The space in the current town hall is not sufficient. It's too small. You have issues dealing with security, in terms of people can just walk into the meeting room and there's no,
Needs
you
to be
can't stop them.
updated.
So there's, space needs are one thing, and also in terms of, one of the things I had a conversation with, well, I'm trying to have the conversation with the board, I had it with Julie today too, is what if we don't put forward the town center? What if we don't, it doesn't pass, what do we do? Because one of the things that TCVC has also looked into is in terms of renting some space someplace. One of the places we looked at is the Market Basket Plaza, specifically where the cart store used to be.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Putting everybody in there, so they're out of the town hall completely. You renovate the town hall and just stick them back in. It doesn't solve any of the programmatic needs, it solves the issue with the floor, solves the issue because we'd update the electrics, plumbing, heating, insulation, all that stuff.
So you
it'd
could
be good to
update
go.
the security.
It doesn't
Oh, that.
solve any of the problems that the people have in the town hall.
Space-wise.
Space-wise, because there's no privacy. In terms of one of the problems that Joanne has is people come in, conversations, she gets distracted from what she's doing. So there's a whole bunch of things. So election, maybe
I'm
a little
just,
bit. One of the things we just did is we got this agreement with the school that we can use the masquerade school, whatever
Yeah.
we want without being charged. So the idea is to have elections there, because the space downstairs is too small.
but you can't have
That makes
elections
sense.
there on a Tuesday without canceling school.
Yes, well, we will this year, because the school is canceling school on that day.
You're kidding?
No.
Oh.
So the primary on the,
And we have
Have
done
they
it
told
there
us that? 'Cause
before.
I don't have that in my calendar.
oh, well, you should be getting something.
It's been, I think we've done that in the past, haven't we?
Durham does it all the time,
Yeah.
because they
yeah.
voted the high school. So this year, there was a conversation, because we said, we want to use it for primary, because we're anticipating lots of people.
Yeah, they have, is this the 3rd of March?
No, this is
No.
February
February
11th.
11th.
No, they have not informed the public.
Sorry.
I will, no, but I'm on the PTO, I will talk to the principal, because people have to I have to arrange childcare. I have to go to work.
Yeah,
I
people need
can't
to
just have a
know.
holiday because of elections.
Yeah, and when we have the deliberative session, that's on a Saturday, so that doesn't affect school. And in terms of the March, whatever it is, March
Town
12th.
elections.
Yeah, the town
Second Tuesday
elections.
in March,
Yeah.
whatever that date is.
I think that's going to be here, we think, I don't know. But definitely the primary is at the school, and the school is canceled.
Which
by
is
then.
February 11th.
Yeah, it's a Tuesday.
Yeah, they haven't informed me.
So,
I will get on that.
So,
oh, I
I
said the
guess-
thought.
No, but that's not acceptable. They send out a calendar at the beginning of the year, if they're gonna cancel
It's
school,
something they just
they have
did.
to
We
put,
just did this.
Like,
then they need
weeks
to
ago.
update people, yeah.
they kinda need to tell people.
Well, they have to tell people so that they can plan ahead,
Right,
because
I
that's the
mean,
day that,
that people work.
Yeah.
That's why having elections in schools isn't great.
what was I gonna
So I
say?
guess back to the discussion.
Sorry.
So the, the
I
fire and the police are,
I just picked on the town center because there's a lot of money. But I do think, and I've
not
said this all
necessarily
along,
just that, right?
primary responsibility of government is public safety,
I agree.
and that's police and fire. Yes, you need highways, and yes, you need to get rid of the rubbish and a bunch of other things.
course,
But there's
everything.
still, the primary responsibility always has been the safety of the public. And that's police, fire, and EMS probably
Mhm.
add into that, so. That's my only thing. And I actually think we sat here last year, and this will be the last year I'll plug this unless I stand up at a public hearing.
Which you can do.
But we kind of last year told Tom if he waited off a year and let the fire department have that year, that we would support the individual person this year. And I think to have him take that stance and then have us back out on what we said is problematic. I do remember when I was police chief, the board one time told me we weren't going to 24-hour coverage. And quite frankly, I was sick of getting out of bed all night in the middle of the night to go out because the car was parked down to the side of 125 at 5:00. Find out that someone was gone by the time I got there. And they would not recommend the additional person, and I wore an article that, and it passed overwhelmingly. So I think people in this town are worried about their public safety. Now, I gotta tell you, as a police chief, you don't wanna do that too often, because you really alienate your board of selectmen when you have an overwhelming vote against them. But it's more difficult to do that now because we're an SB2 town, so you have to do it you have to somehow do it in deliberative session.
Yep.
And that sometimes is difficult at best, because people show up deliberative sessions are special interest groups. And
Yes, they have
sometimes
an agenda.
Yeah,
yeah.
like you found out last year with the church. You couldn't get that money down at the deliberative session. You just couldn't.
Well, I raised it a little bit and then they raised it big time, so.
Well, raised it back to what the original negotiation was, so I mean, it wasn't like they raised it over the original negotiation. So I guess I'm just saying to you, I think it is a bad move if the board reneges on that, unless it was some really catastrophic reason for doing that.
I agree.
And that's just,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop now, because I would wind up repeating myself. I've made my point.
And,
And I think you ought to look at another firefighter next year. I'm not saying,
yeah,
Yes.
I'm
I
not
was gonna
saying
say, I was gonna add that
firefighters
in.
need
We
some help.
need both.
I agree.
And we need to start stair-stepping and doing, like we said, with the plan of adding fire and police
And I
to the
think the
town.
long-range plan should consider the fact that at some point in time, we may have to go to our own ambulance service. And I think that he was kind of hinting that.
It's been it's been talked about.
McGregor is a
But it's not,
great
they're good.
operation, and as long as we can keep it, God forbid someone wants to get rid of it because it's cheap, and they do
Yeah.
a good job. But they're having more and more trouble getting people to man the ambulance during the summer and during school vacations, number one. And number two, they might not have a place to house anything if they don't, because they might not be able
If they
to
don't
afford
get
the
that
cost.
agreement, yeah.
So we're either gonna have to house them, subsidize them, do something, or go to our own EMS, and that normally is a fire service, and you gotta have two people on 24/7 in order to man an ambulance. So I think that the long term, we gotta look, I think as a town, we gotta look at all three of those umbrellas, and some of the other feel-good stuff might have to go away or wait.
I agree. I think they need both.
Yep,
So you wanna add, we're on the fire department, right?
Yeah.
Still, so you wanna add a fire person in there?
No,
No.
this year?
I
Not
think we
this year.
should.
we should, I think we
think
should
it's more
add
important than
fire
some of these other
and
things.
police. Obviously, that's not gonna go well with you guys talking about, the budget and so forth, but I feel like if we don't emphasize this every single year, then it's gonna be sort of
Just
put by the
remember,
wayside again.
this group is advisory to the board, so don't go, well, geez, we can't vote for that because they'll shoot it down. Don't think that way. Do
That's
what
why,
you think you
that's
should
why
be
I'm,
doing.
that's why I'm.
Nothing's worse than, oh, geez, the board's gonna vote against this, let's not put it in. Don't do
No,
that.
no,
No.
that's why I feel like we should.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to still stay with my original premise. I think that we agreed last year to do fire and not police, because the alternative was also asking the board to put both of them on as warrant articles. The board chose not to do that.
Right.
And that, I kind of assumed they were going to when I made that recommendation.
But you agreed that we need both. We need to increase both.
I do,
So-
but I don't think we ought to shell shock the community. The other thing you gotta look at is a group. People are gonna go vote on this in a ballot. And if it's a reasonable amount, they're gonna vote yes. And they're not gonna heavily question your design as long as it's a reasonable change.
But what Scott was
make it-
saying was,
If you make it unreasonable,
we're recommending.
if you make it, well, I'm still recommending.
Yeah.
If you're gonna make it unreasonable, they're gonna vote no, and you're gonna have to either take last year's warrant article, or you're gonna have to go back for a second bite at the apple. The second bite of the apple may be no, even if it's less. So I'm cognizant of the political process that goes on here.
Yeah,
I've lived in it for years. So I'm only gonna vote to add the cop this year and add a firefighter next year, not both of them in the same year. I just don't think it's, and that's,
Just
I-
for,
I think
I
that
think-
they'll do what they, feel is right and with
but I
the
want
budget and
you
everything,
to
so
put
that's why
that, I
I'm,
want the recommendation, how is it gonna read for Monday night?
well, it depends on how we vote right now.
That's right.
So that's why I'm saying, and we're still talking about it, so.
just be aware that if the operating budget hasn't been voted down for years. The operating budget, if it doesn't pass, will revert to the default budget,
Right.
which doesn't include any of these new positions, so just be aware of that.
Yeah.
So I have
So-
a question though, so you have numbers in here, this 150 that we haven't discussed yet, for the town center project.
Yep.
But that's a warrant article,
That's just for the town hall.
so when we give that, that's just for the town hall.
That's for the town hall.
But this has set town center project bond interest.
Renovation, I
That's-
think, right?
that's the-
different.
Do you wanna skip down to that?
Well, I think it affects what I'm
Okay.
about to say, so is
Alright.
that interest on 61, the
So-
new building or the renovation?
So item number 61 is the new building.
Okay.
So in the warrant article, it'll say bond for 2.8 million or whatever it
But then-
is. The first year's interest payment for, that will hit fiscal '21, which we're dealing with, is the
So
38,432.
wouldn't that 38 though not be in the budget that people vote on, that would be on the warrant article that people vote in?
Yes, that's true.
Okay, so that
But-
will make that budget smaller by $40,000.
But it still affects the tax rate.
People are
I
smart.
understand that
People are
affects the
smart
tax
enough to
rate.
figure that
No,
out.
but what I'm saying is,
The budget increase that you're gonna talk about at the deliberative session won't include that number.
right,
Right.
so people are gonna
In
vote
the
on that
operating
budget.
budget, correct,
Okay.
that's
So
true.
that's what I'm gonna say, people are
it's
gonna
still-
vote on a different number than
It's
this
still
number,
gonna come
because
out of the
that's not
tax
gonna be
rate,
in
so.
there.
Yes.
I completely agree with you.
So number 62,
What?
number 62 is, and we haven't talked about this yet either.
Yeah,
Last year, the Town Center Vision Committee proposed 200,000, 100,000 one year and 100,000 in the budget we're talking about.
yeah,
The board chose to only put 50,000, so this would bring this up to 200,000 for the 2 years. And the reason for that is the town center, we believe to fix it up is about 400,000. The assessment we're having done right now is one of the prerequisites for getting L-chip money.
Yeah.
L-chip
Oh, L-chip was gonna be 200.
matches 50%.
Right.
So if it's 400,000 and we have 200,000 set away, that's your thing. So if we put 150 in, you apply for L-chip, they let you know next December if you've got it or not. So on the warrant next year, most likely you're gonna see, if we get it, a warrant article say, okay, we'd like to spend $400,000 to renovate the town hall. And we've already got 200,000, so we need to take 200,000 out of that fund, and we have a matching grant from L-chip for the other 200,000. That's what you're probably gonna see next year. So that's what 150 is. And talking with the grant people, it's like, it's not required, but they look very favorably. So if your project is
have it.
400,000, you've already set aside 200,000, that shows commitment, and they're in this issue. If we say, no, we only put 50,000, and we go to them and say, okay, this is 400,000, we only have 100,000 set aside. They won't say no, but they won't necessarily say, well, this is a no-brainer, let's just do it.
Scott, last year, the change from 100 to the 50, that was the select board that made that change, okay? That didn't happen at the deliberative.
So that's what that is. So, there, now you have information, so you can make your comment, or whatever it was.
well, my comment was, that so we were talking about people voting on the budget, and whether or not that could possibly pass. I mean, that $40,000 won't actually be part of that. So we're only talking about a difference of the $40,000 for the fire.
No, it's.
No, sorry, a
it
difference
is-
of what's being presented here of $40,000. If you get rid of
Oh.
this 38 and add in
Oh.
80, it's about $40,000.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
So I don't think it's as big of a jump, since that number, I don't
No.
So
think
you're
it belongs in there.
saying you want to propose a fire and a police and not the town center?
Yes, I think it's more important.
Is it up to this group to do that?
You can recommend whatever you want.
I'm gonna fall back on the fact that I think, and I'm gonna hit on the board a little bit, that they may have done this and just not publicized it. There just needs to be a plan. And to me, it does not appear that there's a plan in place for the increase of emergency services based on the need or the increase in buildings and calls within Wayne. Are you looking at a plan?
No, I'm looking at Alice telling me she had no clue that there was a meeting tonight, and why wasn't she notified?
Uh-huh.
Isn't
I
on all
received
the
something
emails?
saying last night's meeting was canceled, but nothing else.
There was an
It was a
email,
weird.
there was a weird calendar thing that came from you that said that last night was canceled.
I think you.
From me?
Yeah.
No, it came from Scott. It's not just the calendar things.
No, I said,
Who keeps doing
I got a
this
calendar thing from you saying last night was canceled.
Me?
But no, not from Tom.
Who does the calendar reminders? Because I got the
That
same
came
one.
I
through.
never,
That came through
Yeah.
That
about,
was a week ago.
but it was a weird address that it came
It
from.
was weird, so I
figured it was
assumed it was a
scam.
mistake.
Oh, that's
So
why I
I
emailed you
paid
the other day
attention.
asking if we have meetings Wednesday and
Oh,
Thursday because
yeah.
I got that weird calendar
Yeah.
thing.
I never canceled
Well,
it.
we've had multiple emails today about this meeting.
So maybe it was something with, because you set up all those, like, and invited people
That's what
and
I
so
thought was
forth.
Scott.
So,
I didn't cancel anything.
No.
I didn't think you
and
did.
neither did
That's
I.
why I asked.
but that's why I'm wondering,
All right, I'm just gonna tell her we are meeting now.
yeah,
Calm down.
and no idea what you were. Wasn't she on all these emails that you sent?
Yes, she's on all of them.
Yeah,
She just
so,
doesn't-
She just
That's
had brain
not-
cramp and she's trying to blame someone else.
yeah. I didn't know about tonight's meeting.
Don't put that in the.
She's on every
I
email.
just put it in the
She's even on
minutes.
the email from Julie saying
Yes.
that this was
She doesn't
into this
routine,
room.
she doesn't read her emails routinely.
Okay.
Excuse me,
Mm.
my fingers are too fat.
I think
Well,
that
you're
if
not
you
the only
put
one that has
forward
that
a
problem.
budget that only had the policeman, and you put a warrant article for the firefighter and a warrant article for the TDC, the budget would pass, and the firefighter would patch, and the TDC.
Would ask to. you
Would
said.
not. I would think the firefighter would pass, I think the budget would pass, and I think the town center vision product would fail. Just from all of the people I've spoken to. I
All right,
don't-
we'll see what she
You're
says.
right.
Sorry. I got,
I beat you up on a plan.
you're beating me up, what are you beating me up on?
The selectmen's lack of a plan over multiple
service.
years to increase emergency services to a level that makes the town feel comfortable.
Okay, the selectmen are responsible for everything, so I will not buck that. But we have asked the fire chief for a plan to tell us what
Has he
he
given you
proposes.
one?
Yeah, he wants like 13 people. And I said, we can't do 13
No, no,
people.
Fire people?
Yes,
Firemen?
yes, in
Firemen?
total, in
Tonight?
total, in total,
Oh.
in total. So we said, well, that's not gonna fly in 1 year, so we need a plan. And I guess I'll take responsibility that we haven't circled back and said, where's your plan? So, but yeah, he says for Lee to do what he needs to do, in his estimation, I believe he said 13 people. 13 full-time people,
That's-
not,
Yeah.
Well, that's if
But
we,
he's talking about 4.
right, it's
Yeah.
last night he was talking about 4, not
But-
13.
but in terms of.
To be able to get the coverage that he needs, to be able to
Well,
eliminate the problem, or at least help with the problem, of like hardly any on-call people anymore.
Right,
Things have changed. There used to be a lot of on-call people.
Yeah.
Now they're not.
Yeah.
So we need to talk about staffing it like a regular fire department that has,
but I,
enough people to be able to do the coverage.
But I agree with Brian. The feeling I get is, okay, one more fire person, one more police person, one more, when is it going to stop?
When
And I
you get to
think
the
we-
point where you have.
Well, where is
enough-
that though?
Well,
Right
it's
now,
11
it's
police
4 and
officers.
11, yeah. So, and there needs to be a plan.
The plan has to be predicated and based upon growth, whether it be by
But we're not even.
assessed value or number of homes, number of people, number of calls, all of it has to go into the plan
It's been given.
to, well, I don't see.
Tom gave it every year, and so did, and the call volume and the population and everything else.
And
that's
once
where he
those
comes
are
up with his
given,
numbers.
then, I'm sorry, but the
No.
leaders
Right.
then need to take that in hand and develop a plan that is a reasonable plan for the needs, the economy, the growth, and then put that plan forth to the public, so the public knows that when we increase our value by X numbers of dollars and cents, we're going to have to increase the number of firefighters and police officers to cover that.
Yeah,
When our call volume increases to this point, we're going to have to increase to cover that. If indeed McGregor Memorial doesn't have housing, doesn't have the ability, we're going to have to determine how to cover that. The most economical way to cover that is with firefighters. That's how vast majority of the communities do it, if they have their own service somehow.
and paramedic, yeah.
But that's
Yeah,
a whole
paramedics.
plan that's developed and probably needs to have the work also of the planning board and the CIP so that you can look at that development. And frankly, I don't see it. Now, maybe there's one that I know nothing about and I'm being stupid. If I am, then I'm gonna blame them for not making the plan public so the public knows it exists. That's my point. But right now, we told the cops last year, hold off a year because we gotta get another firefighter and we'll give you a cop next year. And that's what we said, basically. That's making it down and dirty, but that's what we said. And I think to change that is
We're not saying to change that. We're saying that we need both, and we need a plan. We're not even up to the plan that you're talking about. We're not even up to being able to service the amount of population and everything that we have,
Tom,
you know, with what
I
we
listened
have.
to the fire chief last night,
Yeah,
and I think the fire chief does an excellent job.
yeah.
But I didn't hear him really tell me how adding the fifth or the fourth or whatever the next one will be is going to change the call response and how he's gonna deal with that. I criticized
He
that
did it last year.
I criticized that last year, and we still didn't get it this year.
No, he
I'm
did
not-
give it. He gave he even came back and gave a whole nother explanation and a whole nother written 4-page thing on that, on just that. And an explanation of what we needed for employees or new firefighters and how it would fit in the schedule and a whole, how he would plan out the schedule. And he has done that.
You did it last year, you didn't do it this year.
No, he wasn't asked,
Yeah,
he
we didn't do
didn't,
it.
he
Yeah,
didn't,
we
he wasn't
did,
asked
yeah.
for it, and he didn't know, you know,
Well,
this
let's
was a
try
last
this.
minute thing.
Let's-
So,
Let's try this.
but John has actually asked for it, I guess,
I
so
move
that's why
that we recommend to the Board of Selectmen, they fund the additional full-time police officer. And then we can talk about the next step, but let's see if we can get by that one.
Okay, so
We'd already made that decision.
We did.
At the last meeting.
Yeah,
Because
Did
we-
you?
we-
Yeah.
We talked about the police at the last.
we already did.
Well, I guess I'm kind of
there?
remembering a certain
Yeah.
individual's statement that he wasn't in favor of that because of the
And he
cost
still might
of the
not be.
benefits.
That's
He still
okay.
might not be.
I
That's
think we
not,
voted
that's,
4
we're
to
talking about
6.
this group,
Hmm?
yeah.
We voted 4 to 6 last time.
We did vote,
4-2.
Sorry, 4 to 2.
4-2, we voted that
Last
we
time?
want, yeah, that we wanted the police, not last night.
No,
The last time
The
we met
last-
to have a.
the one I was not at.
Yes.
You weren't
Okay.
there? You must have
I
been.
thought you were there.
It
Had
was
to be.
4 to 2.
If it was
You had
4
to
to
be
6,
there.
you had to be
Oh,
there.
4
Sorry,
to
4 to
2.
2.
4 to 2.
It must have
You had to
been.
be there, there's only 6 of us.
Yeah, you were there.
Okay.
You were sitting next to me.
If
Did you
we,
vote against it?
No, I know who it was, let me tell you.
Yeah,
I voted against it.
you and
Not
Alice.
and Alice,
You
Yeah.
and you, the rest of us voted for the police.
You, the 4 of us, minus Scott, voted for it.
The
And so
only-
we've already done that. That's what.
okay. Then if we've already done that, and that's going in the recommendation Monday night, now let's talk about the firefighter.
That's all, yeah, that was already done.
Can I suggest we table the firefighter and talk about the rest of the things, because it seems to be a
And then go
bottom
back
line
to it?
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
The other thing I was-
Recommend funding full-time police position.
We already
We
did
already
that.
did that.
That-
Yeah.
One of the
I'm
things-
having it down on my
Just to
thing.
be aware, when the police and the fire department talk to you about call volume, one of the things you have to look at is what is the nature of that call volume.
Yeah,
Because one of the things that's important to note is some of those calls, what do they call it, cat up a tree calls.
Yes.
There's something that, just happens they have to go deal with it. Some kind of a burglary or some kind of a murder or something, that is way different than cat up a tree calls,
Yeah.
as you.
but he listed them all.
So you just have to
They're
be
all
aware of
listed-
that.
they're
So
all
when you
listed.
say, the chief said call volume was up big time, well, what is up big time? Is it
No,
robberies, assaults, cat up a tree?
I was just answering the question. He already addressed it, and it's all listed on those sheets.
You just have to be careful.
Yeah.
The only problem with cat up a tree calls,
I think that's what you got.
You still have to go.
I always called
Still
it
have to
dog
go.
up a tree.
Oh,
but
dog up a
it's even worse. But anyway, the problem with those is they're the ones that'll politically come back and bite you in the behind.
If you don't
Because you
go.
don't, none of these people in this room, or the vast majority of the people in the town of Lee, expect the police department to solve a homicide. Even though that's their job. They don't expect that they're gonna do that. They do expect they're gonna deal with a dog call.
Well, and,
Yeah. And they wanna see you if you do get
So
a call,
the
right?
dog up a tree call is the one that causes
Those are the
you,
important
a lot
ones
of-
for the community.
but the police chief causes you a lot of gray hairs.
But that's shorter than a fortune,
Oh,
You mean
sure.
time-wise and so
Sure.
forth?
Because
Yeah,
I always
yeah.
argued against alarms that go, a false alarm should be penalized unless it goes off 5 times a day for 2 weeks.
Mhm.
Because I could send a car to cover a false alarm a lot less money than it would cost me to cover a burglary. And so I can answer 25 or 30 at least false alarms and still save money over the one burglary that happened because there was no alarm.
Yeah.
So, you gotta look at the economics of the cat up a tree call, or the dog up a tree call.
There you go.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so,
So-
next.
other than what the fire department wants, that additional person, are we okay with the rest of the fire department?
Yes, I think we ought to move that over.
Okay.
You, and I,
So we just gotta make sure we go back to that, so we can recommend.
But I won't
if
forget.
we- Okay, okay.
So civil defense, I guess,
what is civil defense?
that's
Where
emergency
is it?
management.
So the
Civil
EOC.
defense.
Okay, so you're
16.
not calling it emergency management?
This is what the state calls it. So
Okay, all right.
What is it under?
It's emergency management,
Oh,
so
Civil
it's,
defense.
yeah, so it's emergency management on here,
Yeah.
but they call it civil defense. So
Yeah.
56, the same as it was last year.
okay.
civil defense.
Page 7,
It's actually emergency management, but it's civil
Oh, I
defense on
see,
this
I
page.
see, yeah. Okay.
I don't wanna get off on a, well, who's chasing about this, but the comment last night that it took them 3 to 4 months to set up a tabletop exercise was a surprise. Because
Yeah.
Carrie was asking if we could do that
everyone.
I know.
every year, and he's saying it takes 3 to 4 months to set it up.
It does.
Because of the
Really?
state and everything else that's involved, right?
So
Yeah.
he didn't
Homeland
really
Security.
commit to when they were gonna try and do it again, which it's
If you
Once
unfortunate.
a
do,
year?
if you do a reasonable tabletop scenario, and it's based on a disaster,
Yeah.
you have to get feds, FEMA involved. Then you have to get the state. Now, try to get FEMA involved.
It just seems unfortunate,
What's-
because
Tabletop. Why did they
It's
say
able
that?
They do a
practice.
scenario.
Why do they call it?
they
Because
sit
you
around.
actually set up a big table,
Yeah.
you sit people around it,
Yeah.
and you
Ah.
put the scenarios
Yeah.
before each person and have them react to the scenario
Oh,
and see
wow.
whether they follow the
Yeah.
plan.
And there's usually somebody there to critique them. So if somebody didn't do something or did something they weren't supposed to, that's in the critique, so they can learn from their
So
experience.
how often should they do one?
I would say that a tabletop involving a natural disaster is once every couple of years unless you have massive change at your top leadership.
Okay.
If you're talking about a tabletop exercise on how you're gonna respond to a bank robbery in Lee, New Hampshire, probably more often. Because it's
Because you can
easier,
do it right here.
You can do
it's
it,
easier
yeah,
to set
yeah.
up and do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
So we good?
yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Moves over.
Next one, if we go progressively down, is accrued benefits.
You kinda have to tell us.
Well, just for
Now, is that how much we're putting into a capital
Yeah.
reserve?
Yeah.
How much
So,
is in the capital reserve now? Is that what you're about to get?
guess what? So, right now, cruise benefits, as of, well, the last date I have is September 18th, 2019. We have $68,581.97. The thing we have to be cognizant of is our liabilities about someplace here.
Too much paper.
There we go. Is $136,148.65 as of June 30th, 2019. So we got 68, liability is 136. Biggest person on that list is the town administrator, she's at 31,000.
I mean, that if she quit, we'd owe her $31,000.
Cause she just stacks up her, of the vacation time, is that, or,
She has
She doesn't use
115 hours in vacation and 568 hours in sick leave.
Can I ask a silly question?
wow.
No, don't ask the silly question, I'll tell you. The reason she has that many is because her contract is very, very lucrative.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know about other people, but I actually don't get sick time, but my husband, there's only so many he's allowed to carry over every year.
That's what every company has a
That's
different.
So we
the
just
problem.
let them carry everything?
Unless the
Yes.
contract
No.
says something different.
That's the
I mean,
problem.
there's like a max that he can have. so-
Yeah, for
Unless
other,
the contract says something
Okay.
So we
different.
did,
So
but
her
for
contract is
con-
different, yeah.
Why did we give her a contract, let her keep 500 hours of
Because that
sick
was the
leave?
vote of the Board of Selectmen, the majority vote.
When she was hired.
the max that other people can take when they leave are 40 hours. The max that you can take in vacation time is 240 hours.
How did she get that?
Because that's what the contract said she was.
I understand that's,
Is
no,
there,
that's
you know,
not the
so you
question
have to
I'm asking,
honor
no.
the contract, is there
Why
anything?
why was the contract written that way?
I'm sick of saying you.
Alright,
It was
I'm
way
not
back, it was back
asking.
then,
Well,
yeah.
who knows, because
That
none of
is-
us wrote it.
Okay.
None of us in this room
So
wrote
None of us
it.
in this
is
room
there, and Julie obviously knows that she has
Mhm.
this much, so is there, anything that we can do to talk to her and say, hey, can you start either like taking some of it, or use some of it, or is it not,
She's banking that money.
or is she
Well,
just
she's
keeping
entitled
it?
to a buyout too.
Maybe she's keeping it just in
No.
case, so if she,
We've left that out.
The reason I can't, because some of that is non-public discussion that we've had with her.
okay,
We have had discussions with her, we have explored that did not go anyplace.
okay, so it has to stay in the budget.
The
That's
town
bottom
of
line.
Lee has for years passed the buck to future selectmen on benefits. You're looking at one of the recipients of that.
Oh, your name comes up all the time. Just
Because,
so,
that's fine.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
in 1972, they hired me as a police chief. There's a thing called the Fair Labor Standards Act. And at that time, the Fair Labor Standards Act said that you needed to pay me time and a half overtime unless you could prove that I spent more than 20% of my time in administrative duties. Seems how I was the only cop in town, you couldn't do that.
Seems
I
fair.
kept, and I've got to still have the copies, I kept writing the board saying that this is a bad policy. And you've seen those letters, I think, probably still around. And I said, you shouldn't be doing this. What they chose to do, oh, and the other thing that law said is you could only do up to 600, and I think 20, may have been 40 hours before, then you either had to buy out that 640 hours, or you had to stop paying time and a half overtime. What they did in their infinite wisdom, because it was unlimited sick leave, I'd get up around 600 hours and they'd move it all over to sick leave. And they did that for years. And in 1986, Alice McKinnon, who was the town administrator,
Alice, our
left.
really? Alice?
And Alice they had to pay a huge buyout when Alice left. And the light went on. The police chief's been saying, this is a bad policy, we shouldn't be doing this, blah, blah, blah. So they changed the personnel policy in 1986 and limited what you could do. I retired, and I said I wanted my money.
Yeah.
A certain selectman tried to negotiate for about a tenth of what they owed me.
Ooh.
And I said, sorry, see you at the Labor Board. Went to the Labor Board. Labor Board actually gave me more money than I
And
asked
you were
for.
gonna get.
Because I thought in 1986, when they changed the policy, what I had accrued was already well over what I was allowed after that. Labor Board said, no, no, no. That stopped and a new one started, so you're also entitled to everything you built up from 86 to 2001. The town of Lee had to pay me almost $250,000 in severance,
Wow.
Because they didn't deal with the issue.
because they wouldn't deal with the
But
issue.
if they changed the poly in 1986, how is the current?
Well, they've changed the policy since then, but what they did after 2001 is, I don't know, for the policy.
So,
The thing that,
not sure how it relates to, so now this new one was a separate contract, and it was written in the contract.
because, yes, they dealt with the issue, and I apologize for all the stuff you went through, because they should have dealt with that way before that. They kept kicking the can down the road.
Because they were just, what they were doing is they were making future selectmen responsible for their screw-up. And I'm
So, to get back to this particular issue, the contract, if you're a regular employee of the town, you've got those limits. So they've been capped. She has a separate contract. She has a contract, so she is different than everybody else. One of the things I try to do is treat everybody the same. So I've tried to amend that particular contract. The other two have no interest in doing that. So they have no interest in terms of, changing those particular things. Because we forwarded the contract to Municipal Association, and it says, ooh, this is a very lucrative contract for this employee. She doesn't want to give it up. The two selectmen, the
No,
other
why-
two do not want to change it because they
Why
don't
would
want to
she,
lose her.
why would she wanna give it up?
I know, I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
I'm not faulting her.
And she's,
No, I don't fault
You know.
her. I just didn't. I understand it's in the contract. I just didn't understand why we
So
didn't
now
learn
it's-
a lesson and perhaps not write that in the contract.
well, I don't think they do that.
Well, I think what they're doing is they're kicking the can around down the road just like they did before because they're not dealing with this issue. One of the things the selectmen have to deal with is liability issues. This is an ongoing liability issue
Yeah.
because
Okay.
she doesn't take very much sick time and she has unlimited sick time. I calculated by the time we think she's gonna retire, is she's gonna be owed about $130,000 just in terms of sick time because she never takes any.
Now,
So that's built into the budget.
just so you all kind of
We're gonna
understand
make sure.
what's happening, and that amount of money the amount of money I got paid, based on the New Hampshire retirement system, I get the average of the best 3 years. And I get, if I got 20 years of service, I get 50% of what that average is.
Mm-hmm.
For every year I stay after 20 years, the new system's 25, that's why I'm stuttering here, but for every year I stayed after 20 years, I got an additional 2.5%.
Mm-hmm.
I had 34 years in the system.
Mm-hmm.
My buyout was $250,000 plus 2 years of about what I was making, put together and divided by 3. I get 87% of that amount, which meant I retired from the town of Lee making about $35,000 or $40,000 a year more than I was making working. Julie's doing the same thing, and you'd be crazy if you didn't. That buyout, now I don't know what Group 1's ratio is.
She's
But that-
still, yeah, she's grandfather, she's under the old rules, not the new rules.
But that buyout that she's going to get goes towards the calculation of what her retirement's
Yes.
gonna be.
Yep.
I do not blame her for that.
Oh, I don't blame her.
No,
Portsmouth School
I-
District, my
not
husband
who I have an issue
benefited from the same thing in the Portsmouth School District.
Yep.
Yeah,
yeah.
so
Sick time.
But bottom line is,
So that's
it's in the
what-
contract and it needs to be in the.
that's why she doesn't wanna amend the
Oh,
contract.
I understand.
And she doesn't want a buyout either.
She doesn't wanna what?
She doesn't want a buyout either. So,
That's her retirement.
because
That's
if you
a-
do the calculations, if she stays until the end, she's gonna make out very well. And she doesn't want to give it up. And I do not fault her for that.
I don't
No.
know.
So you don't do it anymore.
That is not who I'm faulting.
That's-
You don't do,
Well, there is nobody
there's no
else.
other like the fire chief and the police chief and everybody, they don't have contracts anymore, right?
No.
That's-
Okay,
I
so
need
that's
to ask a question though.
That's an issue.
You say that the accrued amount owed her is around $30,000 in sick
31.
leave.
Yeah.
Why
Sick
is
leave and
it-
vacation.
Then why is the amount of liability 100 and something?
The other employees.
For the other employees.
That's for everybody together.
Yeah.
Her
Okay.
share of it is,
I guess my question is then, what is, before we make a decision on this amount, what is the projected retirement outlook? I mean, are we gonna lose 4 people in 1 year? Or are we going to, is there a projected outlook?
This is the list as of June, so she's the highest one, then you've got the 2 chiefs, then I think the next highest. So those are the total amounts.
Yeah. I guess the thing that is missing here. to
And we don't
me-
know when people are gonna leave.
Who
We don't
knows?
know
Well,
when people
I can tell you that Tom is probably going to retire in 6 years, maybe 7,
Mhm.
depending upon, but I think he's in the 25-year group, I don't remember. There's a 20-year group and a 25-year group. And I think he's in the
Yeah,
25-year
Around what is his?
group,
age?
so, but, and you think,
Do we know?
I think Julie, given the fact that she volunteered her age to me, I would say that she's gonna leave if she stays to retirement age at about the same time.
7
And-
years?
Yeah.
Same.
Well, a year ago, she told me she was 57, which surprised me.
Yeah,
So she's 58 now, and at 65, you know,
well, I think she's 67 though, because they,
I said 57.
57.
Oh,
No, no, no.
67
she has to
retired.
retire
I
at
was like,
67.
what? No way.
Because I think,
Doesn't look
I'm
bad.
1 year older than she is then, and I'm in the group that has to retire not at 65, but at 67. Social
Oh,
Security.
because they increased it, yeah, to the,
Retirement system
different.
wise is different.
Yeah.
And I think that probably the 2 of them will go at about the same time. That's all I'm trying to figure out.
Mhm.
Who else on there? I'd say Warren Hatch must be pretty close.
Warren and Pete.
what about Pete? Yeah.
Warren and Pete are the next ones, I think. I don't think, well, let's see.
Pete doesn't have any talking
Joanne
at all
Clancy.
about retiring.
Joanne Clancy, she's
They'll
getting up
probably go
there.
on forever.
Warren and Pete.
Who's Pete?
Pete Hoyt.
Pete
Oh,
Hoyt, yeah.
Peter Hoyt, though, he hasn't worked for us that long, so he doesn't have a
No,
ton
he's
of
been
money.
working.
He's been for a while.
Well,
Peter Hoyt, we
if
owe
the-
him $7,500.
If the 4 highest paid things
Oh.
left, how much money would it be? Where is this
But
is
anyway,
not-
We
I'm
need to
trying to
keep putting the
determine-
15 in there.
I'm
That's the
trying
bottom
to
line of
determine
all
what
this.
it is that you really need in there.
Yeah.
Because if a whole bunch of people leave at the same time, you'll be in trouble.
Keep putting the 15 in.
Keep it.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so 15's good.
Yeah, where were
Um,
accrued benefits.
And the next, now we're getting down into the trust funds. The fire department cisterns, we okay with 20,000? That's what they
Yeah.
recommended. Yes?
What are we?
Line
Special
number
advocates, did
35.
we not?
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
What does that go to? It's a capital, it's
one more
okay.
down.
it's a
And
capital
it's just-
reserve fund.
The cisterns,
Right.
To build them or to repair them?
repair them and
That's where
put
the
them
question
in.
mark is. Oops.
There's a
I understand,
list.
no, I understand, like, what?
Because don't we require builders to put in the cisterns now when they do the development?
Yep, but we've got some already in town.
They need to be
Maintained.
repaired or maintained.
So if we look at,
How often do they have to?
well, we just did the one on Lamprey Lane, what, like 2 years ago, or last year? Let's see.
So how much is it?
much
Does
is-
20,000, no, well, 20,000 cisterns, is each cistern $5,000 to fix, or what do you have to
Cistern in
replace?
Lamprey
or-
Lane was like 25, I think.
So
25,000.
20 is not even, that's just to do one?
That's just to repair one, and that's not, that is an open one. Lamprey Lane, it's not a in-ground,
Like ours at,
That's a,
I'm
that's
on
a fire
Riverside.
pond.
yeah, it's a fire.
Riverside Farm Drive is the same.
Yeah.
It's got,
So they've got one in here for Elder Osborne, Lee Hook Road. So some of them are repairing, like the one for the center of town, like I asked him if the town center goes for it, would you do that one next? Because he doesn't have one on the hill at any place. So that's a new one, that's 102,000. So they're for the maintenance.
102,000 put in a cistern?
But is that gonna be
I'm in the
part of
wrong
the,
business.
will that be part of the project if we go ahead with it?
What is that?
There won't be.
No, that's, would come out of this particular.
Yeah, what is
grant.
the life expectancy before it needs to be repaired?
20, 30 years, something like that, they last a while.
Elder Osborne's been in that long?
That's a repair, Elder Osborne's a repair. Was put in, well, don't tell me when it was put in. It's due to be maintained in 2023.
Okay.
And he's got it in there for 50,000. I do not know what the maintenance is. I know they have to be inspected.
How much is in that capital reserve fund?
Hold on. I have too many pieces of paper.
I asked too many questions.
Well, no, they're good questions.
We're gonna be here till midnight, but that's okay.
Yeah.
You
Time is it?
Leave an exam at
Oh, it's,
8 a.m.
you do? You have to give an exam?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Fire Ponds
Oh,
and Cisterns
At
has
8 a.m. But I can't be here in a
129,758.
minute.
Did you guys all
No.
hear that?
What?
Yes,
Five,
Has 129,000 in the capital
756.
reserve fund.
so it's okay.
Oh, yeah, it's,
Well,
I'm wondering if we shouldn't cut that back to 10.
based on the
Yeah,
plan
there's
that
a
they
plan.
submitted,
The CIP is what, yeah, they'll,
It'll be drained by 2030.
yeah,
I
2030
did
is
snag
down.
them in 2030.
Yeah, so,
If we don't pay it now, we're kicking the can, someone else is gonna have to pay
Yeah.
it.
I think it's amazing we don't have one on the hill. I just think it's
I'm
amazing.
trying to save your
I
firefighter.
understand.
I know.
Don't worry, I know where my red line is.
and we should. Yeah,
Okay,
so are we good with the 20 or?
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes? All right.
I guess we have to.
Fire equipment,
Yes, more.
175.
Yep,
I'm not arguing.
Those shiny trucks are expensive.
they are.
Highway Bridge Trust Fund 50.
I think you should move that over,
Yeah, never mind.
Yep.
because I'm looking at trying to replace a bridge.
They're
And,
not cheap.
no, and we've gone now to a timber bridge rather than a concrete bridge, and it's still gonna cost us $293,000.
That's even with the state pitching in part of it?
And the state won't pitch in until 20,000,
No, because
40,
you're not on the list.
40, no, we were on the list, but we're so far down on the list.
Oh, okay.
So, and if they don't put the bridge in, then you can't get stuff out of the transfer station. So, you
Oh,
know,
because of the truck, the weights?
yeah,
Oh.
so,
Steve was talking about that being an option,
What?
instead of a cement, doing a timber,
Yeah.
because he was talking about that one over near Odeon's. All right,
Where's
Alright.
recreation?
Okay.
55,
Recreation, 10,000?
Oh, sorry, I skipped over the 55 highway equipment.
Oh, sorry, highway equipment, 55,000?
That's okay.
Are we good with that one too?
Can I ask one question about the capital, the CIP? We've got Steve making changes from new trucks to used trucks. We've got Steve taking the scales out of the transfer station.
Mhm.
Who oversees his decisions like that?
That's the problem with the CIP, because the planning board sits down with all the department heads and goes through their wants and not wants. There is no correlation in terms of what the selectmen are gonna support, because this is just a plan.
I
It's not
know,
a spending
I know.
plan, it's a planning tool.
but,
So certain things in here the selectmen are in favor of, certain things the selectmen are not in favor of. But we don't get to say, you know, we're not gonna do that. We'll just, when it comes up, we just won't do it.
I understand that, but for instance, he took the scales out of there. Do we know if does the select board know if the transfer station has a requirement to have those scales?
No, they don't necessarily have to have the scales. The
But
scales,
I mean, is there anybody looking over the shoulder of these decisions?
it's always
that
after
Steve
the
made?
fact though. It's
Okay.
always after the fact. Like the scales that are in there right now, they're for weighing, I think it's recyclables. Because the state board of Bureau of Weights and Measures came in and said, hey, you haven't had any scales that have been approved for
Yeah.
20
Yeah.
years or whatever.
I don't understand why the select board doesn't like look at these things and say, you know, we're never gonna do that, and so we don't have to
We
plan
do.
for them.
But we have no control. This is not in the hands of the select board, it's in.
the select board can say, we're not gonna follow the CIP.
Yeah.
Which they have occasionally,
Yeah, we have.
but they don't have control over the CIP,
But
that's a
if the,
planning board.
if the,
But we kinda need that information though, cause if they're not gonna do one of these things, there's no reason to be putting money in that thing.
There you go.
So what's the, I don't understand.
Well, that's one of my concerns. My other one was, what if you've got somebody who's just gone nuts in here and has taken out things that are required for whatever it is?
Yep.
Where does that get caught up?
When somebody finds out, oh, they took out this and we need that,
Yeah,
that's usually after the fact.
okay. There's
So,
no way to
yeah,
fix that part.
I don't
Okay.
think Steve's gone crazy.
No, I
think he's looked
I
at-
was just wondering from an oversight perspective,
Yeah.
whose decision it was to look at these things.
Like for instance, one of them that's my pet peeve is in the transfer highway department. Wherever it is. Someplace here. Oh, wait a minute, no, it's not in the highway department, it's in administrative building.
I don't wanna get us off track. I was just curious if there was any oversight after
Yeah.
all those changes Steve made.
There's administrative, second one, highway, salt and sand shed. I have not
Are we
seen
ever
any
going to
proof
do
that
that?
we need a new salt and sand shed. And for $178,000, we can build a very nice salt shed. Very nice. So
Yeah.
I
You
question the
consider moving in
number,
it.
I question the need, so
Actually, I remember.
That could be a fire department. you know,
Randy
if-
talked
got a
about-
new fire
Where is that?
Fire guy.
it's on page number 10 of the CIP master plan.
The,
big
I remember
sheets.
Randy
Yeah.
talking about that sand shed a couple years ago.
I think it needs
Did
to
he say
have
we
some
needed it?
changes, but I don't think it's
Yeah.
178,000.
He said that was how much a shed was gonna cost. I was like, really?
Wow.
But he also named his truck, so, you know,
That's true.
but we do that too, so.
Well, I guess we gotta trust him.
Now, when you're talking
That's
about
better than me.
moving that to a used truck, and I heard what they were saying, it's easier to work on because it doesn't have all the electronics and a whole bunch of things. The vast majority of the electronics make the truck much more efficient to run, and also have it breaking down less often because it fixes problems as it goes along.
Well,
That's what the electronics are designed for. I'm not saying not to accept it, I'm saying to be very cautious about it.
Yeah, I was just curious if there was any oversight, because,
I kind of agree with John says in terms of don't take out
Yeah.
the new truck out of the CIP, I can see that.
Yeah.
The experience that we as a town have had with the new truck we bought last year, terrible. The thing is always up, getting some kind of upgrade, getting something fixed, something tweaked. It spends more time in the shop than it does in our town garage. So I kind of like, I'm on the fence in terms of that, but I think for the
Wow.
CIP, we should at least keep the new
Yeah.
truck in there.
yeah.
If he finds one that's used that he thinks is a good deal, that's fine. Then we've kind of saved something.
But that was a new truck that you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, it's not.
Did we
And
buy
it's
that
just
off
all-
the state bid list, or did we buy that because we did it ourselves?
I don't
It's
know.
new.
I know the answer to that, but
They
it
It's
got-
brand
they bid
new.
it out new, right?
Mhm.
It didn't come off the bid list for the state, did it?
did not.
No, it didn't, I didn't think so.
No, it's brand new.
It was brand new, but
Right?
it's just terrible.
Yeah, but it was not bought on the state bid. It was bought because they searched for a truck independently, found this truck and purchased it for the amount of money.
These are good. How long are we gonna meet? Because I could have,
I'm gonna take mine home.
Two or three of those?
I'm gonna take mine home.
Let's keep going.
Okay. Alright, so we're at, so.
So highway, we did
Recreation.
50, recreation,
I
10.
Why, so I'm sorry, I'm looking at I was looking at the reaction before I got distracted by something
I
else.
don't get, we're kind of bouncing around.
Well, I wanted to look at the salt shed thing, I have a question about that when we get over to where we're like that.
Okay, that's,
Which page is the recreation?
That was Larry.
Are we back
it's
on the
page
10,000?
9? 9.
Thank you. I need like a key to this.
Yeah.
oh, you're talking about the highway department, 55.
Really? Oh,
No.
that, we
recreation-
did, yeah. Right?
Recreation
Other,
53.
how about the recreation, 53, are we doing the 10
I
grand?
don't understand why we're putting that
That's what
money in
we're,
there.
that's what we're talking about.
Hmm.
I don't understand it at all, truthfully.
Well, the CIP thinks we're still fixing the.
Yeah, that's
sports.
not,
For
we
$30,000.
already talked about that. And he says he talked to Larry and Larry said that they were still talking about fixing that tennis court?
No, that tennis court that's at the town field is gonna be ripped out
That's what I thought.
because it needs too much work. The thought is to put a tennis court at Little River Park,
Yeah.
possibly over in the back field.
Mm-hmm.
But he has yet to get us a price in terms of what that's supposed to be.
I don't think we need the $10,000.
I wouldn't think so.
I think that's silly.
I would take the 10 out.
Because considering, even if he comes up with a plan, it's scheduled for
Yeah, it's
2022,
never-
and we already have, what, 33,000?
30, yeah.
So, we didn't even know how much it is.
I would take that 10 off.
Yeah, I don't think that's.
You guys okay with that?
I agree.
Sounds
Remove the 10?
like a plan.
Get rid of
to me.
10. You gotta get rid of one number in here.
So is that something that I say that I'm gonna be, or
The
not
thing-
need to?
the thing is
Do I
gonna be-
say recommending we take the 10 out of the,
Yeah, the thing that's gonna be helpful for you, if you look down in the third column of the detail sheet, you're gonna see ABC request to what they requested. You need to note those particular ones and say, on this particular sheet. It'll show you the difference between what was recommended and what we're recommending. So you need to note those particular ones. If it's $50, I wouldn't mention that.
all of them? I-
Yeah,
Last year I only did the big
You have to do the
things.
big, you're not
well,
gonna
if
do
it's $50, I wouldn't say anything, but like, for instance, those are youth, we're recommending a lot less. This one, we're recommending a lot less.
Okay, so, all the, what column, that's the second column to the
It's
in from the left?
It's the third column in from the right. Yep, oh,
Or from the right, yeah.
Yep. that one right there.
That's like zeros,
Yeah, there's
So
tons of
that-
zeros.
so that's no change on those.
Well, that's
Well,
not,
that's gonna have to be updated after.
it's
we
not
make
the
these.
recommendation yet. There's gonna be a
I
change
thought
in
you
the
said they
recommendation.
were, oh,
Because we're going through the question mark ones.
and then you're gonna update it?
Mhm.
Well, there's no way I'm gonna get this to her by 10 tomorrow morning.
What she wants from us is this sheet and this sheet.
So
She
you'll
doesn't
be
need-
able
she
to do,
doesn't-
so
she
you'll be
doesn't-
able to do that?
She doesn't need the narrative.
Okay,
If you just need for Monday.
oh,
You
good.
need that from
So
us.
you'll be able to actually give her that? Hopefully.
Depends on how many things you guys cut.
Right, exactly, okay. Never mind, okay.
Change.
The narrative is, I can,
Monday.
never mind. Okay, good.
All right, are we down to
There it is. It's
55?
not your,
We're
I'm
down
like,
to
okay.
Reval?
55, yep.
Any-
So,
What is
reval,
it?
geez, I wonder if they just keep this one open.
Never
You got it?
Well, no,
Reevaluate.
I mean, I have this.
Run
Re-
reevaluation.
I need a-
Evaluation
I need
fund?
a,
That's
So-
for
index
taxes?
here.
No, that's for assessments.
For
So-
assessing, yeah, taxes.
Where is it? Reevaluation has $62,603. We don't do a reevaluation. We don't do it in 2000.
Killed him.
Is that your water?
That's my water. Or it could be vodka.
Yeah.
We don't do it in 2021, we do it in 2022. The problem that we might get into, our ratio is now 77%. Anytime it gets below 80, the DRA says, thou shalt do a reevaluation now. Julie has contacted them. I have not heard back in terms of what they've said. They can leave it and let it just go, and then in 2022, we'll actually do it. Or they'll come back and say, nope, you're too low, you need to do it now.
So we need to put that money in.
Well, you've got 62,000 in there now. Reevaluation, the one that needs to be done in 2 years, is about 60,000. So right now, you have enough money to do the
If
1, 2
they
years
say you need to have it done, you have enough
from now.
money.
You have enough money now.
If we have to do it now, do we have to do it again in 2 years?
No.
It's,
Then the clock resets. I think it's every 5 years.
It's every
So we
5.
don't really need that then? Do we?
Not really. You could get away with it. Just next year, you're gonna have to put some money in for the next, 5 years,
Yeah,
What are we
Where's
looking
the-
at, 15?
15.
15,000.
And the only reason I put that in there, because Julie did not give me a number, I just put in what was there from last year. So I'm not saying we have to put in 15, Julie's not saying we have to put in 15. I just put that as a placeholder.
So minus 15.
Minus 15.
How much do you think it's gonna cost?
Julie says about 60,000.
And we have 60,
2,603.
I put 5 in it,
I agree.
just to make sure
Yeah.
that,
Okay, I'm fine.
I put 5 now. Let me ask another question, if the state comes back and says thou shalt do it now, how do we get it out of that capital reserve fund?
Board is agents to expend.
Hmm?
Board is agents to expend.
Okay, so it's a,
So
it's
they
an
can go
expendable,
grab it.
it's an expendable trust. Okay, I'm good then, that's my question.
5?
I think 5.
Everybody agree?
Yeah.
5. Yep.
Okay. Town building capital reserve fund 50, that was the CIP recommendation.
Building, okay.
That is page 9, I think.
Is that selectmen or agents to expend also?
Page 10. 10.
General
Yeah.
administration.
Oh, so the administration building is the town building?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is all of
This is on
those.
page 10?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
It's
this
kind of this-
furnace for the
Oh.
town hall,
oh,
that
that.
that elusive
Yeah.
salt shed for the highway department, and furnace for the annex. That's what's in there for this coming fiscal year.
Yeah,
Keep,
you're not gonna build a salt shed this year for $180,000, and they're
I
not
don't.
doing either of the furnaces unless they break.
Right.
And there's, how much money in there, 250,000?
250, where is it?
259, 483?
Well, as of September, it's 258,956, so about 259,000.
The only problem with these is, we're kind of undermining the CIP process
Yeah.
if we, so, how do
I-
you circle back and,
Well,
have you done that in the past?
the two
There have been
furnaces,
yeah.
Like they
didn't
said,
Do any of them,
we're not gonna replace it until it has an issue. We
yeah.
just replaced them with the transfer station because they broke down. That's not even in here. I can pretty much assure you that the salt shed ain't happening next year for 180,000. Pretty sure. So,
Well, I'm just remembering a year that we didn't fund any of these.
Yeah.
And then they played catch-up for several years after that, trying to get back, so, if there are things that we're never gonna do, then it probably makes sense to take them out of the CIP, but to just say, well, we're not gonna do it in the next couple of years, so let's cut the,
well, the
But
other
it's
thing,
okay.
yeah, the other thing that's
Okay,
wrong with
cut.
this particular document, which is wonderful and it's work in progress, our most expensive assets in the town are not even in here. You're sitting in one of them right now.
This
it's not even
building?
there.
Yeah, there's nothing in there for, in terms of, 50
We've
years
talked
down
to
the
them
road.
about buildings and they never get around to it.
So just like the town hall needs help, town hall is not even listed in here.
I just,
So,
and what I'm looking at here on this master plan, they gave us the trust fund balance.
okay,
It never goes below, page 10, it never goes below, the lowest it goes, assuming they actually did all these things, is $80,000.
Mm-hmm.
I think we
So-
ought to put 35,000 in it, same as we did last year.
We've talked to the CIP about getting the buildings on there. I don't think it'll ever happen. Because they just can't get there. It takes them, they're always playing catch up with the stuff that they've got. Would you agree with that estimation?
Yeah, well, they should at least put them in there as a placeholder. So
They
Put
should.
it in, so there's, and then put like a little something.
But I can't tell you how many times, I've been on this board, 7, 8 years? And
And then not even to get it started.
No. Every year I go, so when is the buildings, I don't even ask anymore because he gets a little aggravated.
He gets irritated.
Did anybody agree with me?
I think,
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
35
I'm fine with
instead
that,
of
Brian.
115.
I don't,
I'm sorry, Pat.
I'm fine with that.
I don't even think
Zero, I'm
that
not
much
fine
money,
with.
but
35.
0, I think, is just
You said,
creating
Yeah.
another
you're
problem.
saying lower?
I don't see why it's necessary, looking at how their math works out here.
Well, I guess I'm looking at the fact and thinking about other buildings. In reality, the old fire station, which is being used by the highway department, is in tough shape.
But can you take money out of here to pay for that?
Yes.
Can you?
Yes.
Any town building, so
Okay.
that's a town
And
building.
I haven't looked at it in a long time, but the original highway building was a metal building that's been there at least 30 years, at least, if not more. And I'm not sure what kind of condition that's in, I just really don't
So
know.
you're more concerned not with the projects listed here, but with the other things that could possibly go
All
wrong.
sorts of thing, yeah,
Okay,
buildings,
all right.
different
I
buildings.
see that.
I mean,
Mm.
you had to put a roof on the annex last year because it caved in the suspended ceiling because the roof was leaking so
Why
much.
wasn't the furnace taken out of here for the highway, for the transfer station?
Oh, it was, but it wasn't in the plan.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I understand.
It
I
wasn't in the
misread,
plan.
heard what you said. Okay.
Wasn't
So
in the
what
plan.
about like the town hall? Can that come out of this? Some of that?
Yeah, but I don't think you wanna take it. out
Building,
because that's
I'm just
not-
saying, is that something, it's a building,
If
so
it's a town building, you could use that
some
particular
of it
fund.
or whatever.
Well,
You've already got the money supposedly already spoken. for.
No, I know,
That's what
I
I'm
was
saying.
just saying, for example, so any town building,
Yeah.
if it
So,
needs something, then we
like, for
can.
instance, the presentation you got from the TCVCA, the building was 2,912,000, and they were proposing to take 112,000 out of this particular fund.
Okay,
just
that's
work
what.
But that's what that 112
So we
is
need
coming
to continue this.
So, you can use it for any town building. The thing you get into, one of the things which is further, someplace here, further down here, I think. Oh, my bad, I didn't put it in here.
What?
Alright, well, I'll talk to you about it later, but you have to use the particular fund for what it's set up for. Like, one of the problems we had is the transfer station, its fire suppression system has to be inspected every 5 years. We've never had it inspected. So that was, I think it was $4,000 or $5,000, so we tried to use this
Just to
particular.
get it inspected.
Yes,
Yeah.
just to use this town
It's
building,
not-
and we couldn't because it's a maintenance item, not a capital item. So you have to be careful.
Yeah.
So we asked the trustees if they allowed, and they said no, because the nature of that particular thing is for capital improvements, not maintenance items. One of the things which I did put on here, which I should kick myself, is one of the things I'm proposed to the selectmen is to create a town building and equipment maintenance fund, which is not a capital fund, it's just a trust fund that the trustees of the trust funds hold. And that fund can be used for doing things like that. Some of these things are very periodic, like the transfer station stuff is every 5 years. So in 5 years, he's doing it, not as we speak, but probably in another month or so. 5 years from now, we're gonna have to do that again. So, do we put it in the operating budget, or we kind of fund to do those particular things? So, and
I would
that's just one
suggest if
example.
you're gonna put that line item and you take the amount we took out of the buildings and for there, and it won't change your bottom line,
Well,
that much anyway.
so, but that's not this particular, that's further down.
But
But yeah,
you said it's not on the sheet,
no,
you left it off.
because
And I'm
I can put it
suggesting,
on, yeah.
I'm suggesting put it back on
All right,
and put the amount we took out of the building
all right.
in it, which was what, $15,000?
Yeah. So,
Right.
town, building, and.
Sorry for that.
equipment.
8 up to 15.
Do you, so that's a warrant article to set up and,
Well, it's one I'm gonna propose to the other two selectmen. I've talked to them about it, but I haven't have any indication if they're supportive or not. They kind of nodded their head, but that doesn't mean anything.
So it's town building maintenance and repair?
Town building and equipment maintenance fund.
And equipment maintenance
So we okay with 15,000?
fund.
15,
All right.
which is what you have.
No, it doesn't exist on
Doesn't
here.
exist on it. I
Oh,
didn't-
that's a different thing.
Yeah.
The
We
town
were-
building capital reserve fund, you have 15.
35. Town building, number 60, 35,000.
What's
Right.
the column over on the right? Increase, decrease. Oh,
Yeah. That's the increase.
so we're gonna keep it at 35
That's what Brian is
instead
suggesting.
of 50. Everybody,
I agree.
okay.
61, I don't know if you want to deal with that now, or you want to leave that.
let's deal with
Town center
everything. Can we
project.
come back to town center and just finish with,
Yep.
I think we only have one other thing to do, and that's transfer station equipment. And then
Is
go
it-
back to,
No, that is right.
Transfer station equipment, 38, increase.
I have a question about what, he's proposing buying a truck. Where, would the truck come out of this?
Which two?
Truck to haul
Oh,
canisters.
To
yeah,
haul
he's still
the
looking.
waste.
I know, but is this?
Where's it gonna come from?
Probably,
It's not on the CIP, it's a lot of money relative to his CIP.
there's 134,000 in there. What he is tasked to do is, one of the things he's brought up is having a truck to take the roll-offs to
Yeah,
waste management and other places and
Yep.
stuff like that. And supposedly, the people in the highway department have the appropriate CDL. He has a few people in the transfer station. So he thinks he can find somebody when it needs to be taken, they'll just drive
He
it.
says, yeah.
Oh, I know, I'm just
Pete
saying,
Warren,
does that
him,
impact this
and Jeff is
discussion?
getting his.
I
So-
just went, does that impact this discussion?
So
It's
where's
not
the
in
truck
here.
coming?
It's not in here,
It's
and
not in here.
But
so,
would it come out of this fund?
Where would
Yes,
the money
it
come
could.
from?
It could. It could.
And is that an expendable trust, or does that take a vote of the town?
That one,
That's transfer station equipment.
no. The town, the board of selectmen are agents to expend, because we've spent.
So
all
that's
that
an
before.
expendable trust?
Yeah. So,
that's
but,
really gonna monkey up his
Yes.
thing if he buys that truck. Okay.
because the truck, at least the one he's looking at in Liberty is about 81,000, 82,000.
I just was, just another one of those questions of,
And you said there was 180?
There's 134
34.
right now.
so I guess we shouldn't cut back on the recommendation, because it's probably too low anyway.
I'm trying to find the transfer station.
Oh, it's page 6.
Page 6.
Well, the one labeled 6, not the 6th page.
Oh, yeah.
I guess that was the only
Not
other one,
getting-
then we can go back to the,
Yeah, because he's not, in 2021, they're looking to buy a container for a little over 9,000. 22, 10,000 for another container, so you probably could take the truck out of there, but then the expenses coming up, the compactor, the rebuild in 2023, that's 51,000. So, but the thing is, he's tasked to tell us, one, how much the truck is, how cost effective is it going to be? Is it cheaper for us to buy a truck, save the hauling fees, and how much time will that pay itself back? Is it 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 5 years? So he's tasked to do that, so.
I guess we shouldn't cut back on, if there's any chance he's gonna buy the truck.
Well, the hauling fees that we charge, at least in the budget for next year, I believe are $26,000. So, 4 years, you've got expenses for the truck, you know, in terms of people's time, but
Yep.
also in terms of fuel, tires, all of those stuff. Does it make sense? Because if you just go by straight, in, you know,
So
3.5 years, you could pay for the truck, but what about the other expenses? How much
Yep.
longer, you know, is it 5 years, 10 years, 6
Maintenance
years?
and everything, and then how long is it gonna last? And
Right.
then so
What year is it?
you gotta do it again.
I think it's like 7 years old, he said. So,
It's not
So you wanna leave that in there?
size unit. It ought to last 20 years, I mean.
you would think so, but as it gets older, it needs
Probably need to
It's
leave
not
it,
cost
right?
more,
I
yeah.
think we need to leave it.
Everybody agree?
38, okay. So
Now,
we've got-
the questions, the town center things that are in here, the interest and the capital reserve fund, are those going to be items that Tom is gonna have to address? Do those show up in the operating budget?
No, there'll be separate warrant articles.
So is
61,
that anything that this committee needs to discuss at the
you can either be
presentation?
supportive, make no comment, be unsupportive.
Is 62 in this? 62's in this budget though, not 60.
No, neither of them.
62 will be a separate warrant
Oh,
article.
will they?
Neither of them are gonna,
60.
neither of those line items show up on this
Are
here.
there any other ones that don't show
No.
up then?
The
Just-
20,000 contingency will not show up here.
Which is line
32.
32.
That will not be in the operating budget, that will be a separate, that's usually one of the last warrant articles.
Yeah.
It usually comes from the unassigned fund balance.
So Tom, you don't have to discuss 61 and 62 if you choose not to.
Yeah, the committee
Can we
makes no comment.
quickly go down what I need to address, so then I can,
Well, I think we have to finish making a.
well, when we decide, yeah.
Yeah. So the
Quickly
only,
after.
the only department thing that's on the budget we haven't decided is the fireman. True?
Okay.
By a person,
Fire person.
because it could be a
It
lady.
could be my dog,
Fire.
yeah.
Fighter.
Firefighter.
Firefighter, sorry.
Be politically
Politically
correct.
correct. Yes.
Because it could be a woman,
Hmm?
could be.
We
course.
do
We've
have
had
some
women
women,
before.
we do have women on there.
Do you have any now? Yeah, Karen was the last
My
one.
daughter Jessie is on
Okay.
the fire department.
Good for her.
Well, she's on call, volunteer,
Good for her.
going to nursing school as well, but she's one of the, yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, and there actually is another,
There's another one.
one or two, I think, that are on call,
Used to be
because they were coming.
Stephanie Cottrell used to be, but then she
Yeah,
got
she's
off.
not.
So, what's
And
good?
Karen is
Yep.
not anymore, but yeah.
So what's everybody think we ought to do?
I think we should have more cupcakes.
You can have as many as you want.
I'll wait. till the end.
Personally, I think we should still recommend it, as a board, because I think the police definitely, and we all voted on that already. But, and I think we should say something about, asking the select board to develop an actual plan to be able to, over the next couple of years, whatever it takes, to get it up,
A plan for the 10-year plan.
To work with the chiefs.
to work with the chiefs to, but 10 years is even too, we're not where we need to be even now,
Because
like, you know what I mean?
A plan can be modified at any time.
Okay,
That's why you try to do a 10-year plan, but you look at it all the time and look at modifying it. I'm trying to educate another community that you need to be doing that.
yes.
And I'm slowly getting
But
my
this
point
should
across.
have been done a long time ago to be able to get to where we need to be now,
Sure.
which
You
is
can't
a
fix it.
problem, I know.
But you can't
cannot
fix
do
where
that.
I
you
know.
can't do
So
that.
going forward, what do you think? We have to word it somehow, that there needs to be a plan. And we need to, I think, emphasize what we believe that public safety, like Brian talked about, is a priority for this town. And we need to,
Maybe you say something like the ADC encourages the board to develop a plan to address future
Are you doing
police
this?
and fire department staffing needs, and to address those particular issues over a period of 10 years or
Well,
whatever.
develop a 10-year plan that can be modified as the time goes on. I mean, because if all of a sudden someone figures out how to build 100 houses someplace here in Lee, you're gonna have to modify a plan that didn't anticipate 100 houses.
Please don't scare me like that.
I'm being facetious, but if you put in water and sewer, you're gonna probably lose your 2-acre requirement, because
Yeah,
your 2-acre requirement is predicated on water and sewer. And that's how you legally got,
well, there's a gentleman, I don't think I brought it, there's a gentleman who owns a large amount of property in town.
did you
He's
get that?
getting ready to retire,
Very close to it.
Alright.
and,
he's getting ready to
to
retire.
retire.
I'm like,
I thought he did.
Who?
Jim Banks?
No, 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 no.
Oh, okay.
No, this
Jim
is somebody
Hardy.
else. He has approximately in the town of Lee about 416 acres. Some of it's very, very nice. And he's looking to either one, put an easement on it, or sell it outright. And he's approached the town to say, you interested? So that's something the Conservation Commission is starting to work on. Some of it's at the intersection 152 and 125. Some of it is on Little Hook and Lee Hook Road. So the one on Lee Hook Road, they're very nice. Some of it's on the river. So if you put in, let's say there are 2 acres, there's one lot that's really big, it's 100 acres, 50 houses, 40 houses. And anytime a house goes into the town of Lee, if it has more than one kid, we start losing money. Everybody's paying more because they're not paying their way. So that's a problem. That's a problem. Durham is not totally built out, but they're mostly built out. So Durham's numbers aren't exactly increasing that much. Their commercial stuff is increasing. Town of Lee is sending more kids to the school district, more percentage-wise over the years than
In
the other
not too
two.
distant future, we will be the largest
will.
contributor.
Oh,
Getting
big
close,
time.
getting close.
We're gonna be, because Durham's getting older, faster than we
Well, we're
are.
getting old too, so.
Well, yeah, but we're,
I was talking, Frenchie took me over today, I dropped off
We're all
$1.3 million
getting
for the county, and we were talking about these particular things, and I said, you know, Frenchie, what we need to do is address this particular issue, because people in the town of Lee, they're getting older, My neighbors, their kid, the last one just graduated from high school, and they're planning on moving out. Taxes are too damn high. And I said, and people that are older can't afford, so they're kind of like selling up or whatever. But he said, and I told him, what those people are doing is, no matter which one is selling, it's not old people that are moving to Duluth, it's young people with kids. So as those old people move out, or the kids that are people with kids that have graduated move out, you're getting new kids in. So you're getting more kids. So, and those particular kids, if it's one kid, we kind of break even. If it's more than one, we're losing. And you have to address that. And one of the things John Tappan says, stop advertising the school district, because that's what people come for.
Yep.
They
Oh,
come
yeah.
for it. Ask the
A
real
lot of
estate
people
agent,
do.
why do people come to lead? School district.
Well, some of us old farts
Huh?
stay here
Is what?
because we like to be near the university, and we like the
just got a nice big
ambiance, college
high school.
community, and, you know, that's,
No.
because God only knows, not only have my
Probably
kids,
like
but
one
my
kid, so you're not
grandkids have already
losing
graduated.
So,
I like the one.
There's another reason for a plan. If you're right about when Tom's leaving or if Scott leaves, if we are bringing in another police chief in this day and age, they're gonna wanna know what the town's plan is for
Yeah,
developing the department, because anybody walking in and looking at these departments is gonna realize that we're understaffed. So it's gonna make replacing either of these guys, who I desperately don't wanna replace anytime soon, it's gonna make replacing them more difficult, because they're gonna say, gee, you know, why do I wanna do this?
I think, yes, we need this plan, but, I think we have that problem right now.
We do.
So that's why I'm saying, we need to think about taking action sooner rather than later. Yes,
Well,
I
the
agree,
message-
we need to have a plan, but
But I think,
we need to put some priority on this, not,
then let's put the firefighter in the budget.
that's what I am saying.
I-
And whether they approve it or not is something else.
I agree with Brian that public
I
safety is.
agree with Brian, yeah,
I agree with Brian.
absolutely. So,
Put the firefighter in.
I think you should
Do
put the
we have
firefighter,
that?
and if the select board does not wanna put the firefighter in, it should be a warrant article, which will go
that's
against
what
them,
I was gonna
and
say,
they will
because that's what we said last
Vote
year.
on the TV.
So we're recommending the police position,
Yeah, we've already, yeah,
and we're recommending the firefighter position, but if they decide they don't want to, we're recommending put that in as a warrant article. But the police
From
were
a
saying,
realistic perspective, guys, we already are looking at a warrant article for the building. We're looking at a warrant article for the fire truck. We're looking at the school.
we're trying to
we
encourage,
need a warrant
we're
article
trying
for
to
the fire
encourage
truck, 'cause
them.
we're
Yeah.
taking the money out of the capital
We
reserve
do.
fund.
So they're gonna be looking at a warrant article for $500,000 for the truck, even though you can put at the bottom in big print, this doesn't impact your taxes, people still look at it and go,
This is just us recommending.
Oh, I know, I'm
If
just saying
they say
realistically.
they don't want to put the
I know.
firefighter in, then we're recommending,
the warrant
Ask the
already
peop-
looks like
ask
a
the
horror
people.
show.
it'd be like 23 or whatever it was, like last year.
The warrant articles already look like a horror show, so I
I started this with my public safety
did.
requirement for government when this all began. But I think
Way back then, yeah.
I think you ought to talk to the fire chief a little bit before you start talking about a warrant article. Because politically, he might not want to stand behind that warrant article. Because I'm sure the two chiefs have talked, and I'm sure that they've talked about who can go for what and who can support what. And I tell you, if someone, back when I was police chief, put a warrant article in for another cop that I didn't know about,
Without you, no.
and
yeah.
without me having
Well, he knows
significant
it. He knows about it, but not the warrant.
don't pick,
article,
don't
right?
pick on my.
That makes a difference.
The only
This
thing,
is-
Dinosaur
this is old.
scales are falling
This is
off
old.
it.
the only thing that I will
Used for
caution you
mobile
all
homes
on
is
is he left that to the very end and said he wanted to bring it up because he felt it was required. But he did not put it into his operating budget.
That's because
He didn't originally because they told him to keep it down to 2%. And then he said, you know, he really needs one, and he's trying to be able to, what is it?
So she's asking me where her back now.
Oh, that's That's what I was wondering too.
Really, I was not worried about that.
Oh dear,
Uh-oh,
dear.
I was completely
She's gonna
unconcerned.
sue us, right?
where are you?
Tom,
What?
don't take this personally.
Yeah?
Alice says, Scott, is there an ABC meeting tonight? If so, why was I not notified?
Yeah?
I received something saying last night's meeting was canceled, but nothing else. I replied, we are meeting now at the PSC. Last night was not canceled. Alice's response, I received a notice it was canceled by your chairman. She still can't let that go from, what was
Okay.
it, last
I
year?
know, she doesn't like me.
No, she doesn't like you because she thinks I
She
Screwed her.
doesn't, she, yeah. She doesn't.
Why
So
did she
she's
wanna
not,
be-
Yeah.
then
Oh,
she's
we
not
should
out in
be
the parking
sure.
lot ready to shoot us, right?
I don't think
Okay.
so.
Let's go over
Okay.
from last year.
Oh, I did not know.
Or a
I
year
would
before,
never go
whatever.
over
Okay.
January.
Oh,
That's all right.
all right,
Sorry.
What am I doing?
that's,
I'm sorry, I didn't
well, there were certainly
mean to do anything.
plenty of communications
I didn't-
since then
There's
that
been
would
like
I
50
didn't,
emails.
I didn't even send anything. I don't
I
even
know.
know what it
I know.
It's
is.
not your fault.
It's
Don't
I don't
not
worry.
think you
your
did
fault, Tom.
anything, I think someone hacked you.
This could be.
It's,
And that's what I thought when I received it,
Well,
that's
how
why I
did,
got rid
well,
of it.
how did that even, I mean, yeah.
I
Did it
said,
look weird?
because
Like,
it actually didn't make a lot of sense, other
didn't
than the
make any
fact
sense.
it said that we weren't gonna meet Wednesday night.
And I knew that
And
wasn't
I didn't
true.
even set those up.
I know, don't worry
I
about
said
it.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't worry
Don't
about
worry
it.
Okay.
Okay.
Apologize.
Yeah, don't
Anyway.
worry about it.
Okay, so no, you're just saying recommend, the ABC recommend that the full-time firefighter and full-time police.
I didn't say that.
No,
He's saying we.
I'm just saying no warrant article, is
Oh.
what the part that I was saying.
Well, yeah, I don't think you should do a warrant article without talking to the chief first. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, well, what we said last year was if they did not approve, then
But we
To
took
do a-
warrant article for
do a
both of
warrant
them.
article for both of them. So is that what we
But I
want to
think
do
that-
or not?
I think the board will have a hard time not going with the police officer. I know I'll get up at the deliberative session and talk about it if they fail to.
I think there's some selectmen also that are in favor of the fire department.
Well, yes, there's one that's always in favor of the fire department.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
To be honest, the new fire person for this fiscal year that we're talking about, last night was the first time I've heard of it. So, it's something relatively new. The fire department, the police one,
They've been,
we've heard about before,
Yeah.
but the fire department was brand new. I hadn't
Well,
heard
what's
about that
worse
one
than
before.
it's because they've been asking every year, but they were
Well, we
told not to.
Approved it last year
Yeah, exactly.
though. Or you mean the fourth one?
No,
The
the
fourth
third,
one.
the third
Okay.
one.
No,
They only
just
have
three.
two.
No, they have three.
I think that,
He has three.
It's
Yeah, he's
two.
got,
He has two.
no, he already has 3 lined up for, look, he has 3 lined up
Oh,
for 20.
you mean that he's gonna get another one?
Yeah.
He gets one in
he's already
20.
got it approved, it's in this budget.
It's in this
Right.
Full,
budget.
but it's not
Last
for,
one.
but it's for this coming year.
Yes.
It's our fiscal year
Okay,
20.
okay,
okay,
I
okay.
can't remember when the hell
Yeah.
that started.
He's got three. He's asking for a fourth one for the budget we're talking
To
about.
fill it out for the following year. Yes,
Yeah,
that's right.
So, well, it's just not-
So do we
I think we
we
say,
wanna recommend
I think we recommend that we include a
for the
fourth
following year?
firefighter
Yes.
In the budget,
in the budget.
and if it isn't in the budget,
No, we don't say anything. We're just saying.
Then we frown at them like we usually do.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, say that again.
We frown at them. Okay, recommending full-time
Well, like
police
that's all we really
position.
can do.
It's actually going from part-time to full-time, right? Isn't that what Tom said?
No,
Oh, it's, I think he said
He's
that.
already gone to.
Yeah,
part-time.
because he
Already
said-
done that.
but it's not gonna be the same person.
Not the
That's-
same
it can't
person.
be.
No, but
The
this,
position is
he's gonna
changing.
take this part-time and put it to full-time. And then he said, if you do that, you can reduce my overtime. So can we put,
Well, so that's what he
if you
proposed.
don't, right.
So I think we just say police to budget as proposed, which includes.
But then in the budget, do we wanna reduce the, that's what we were talking about.
But he already.
He already did.
Oh, we already did
Yeah.
it in here, okay,
Yeah.
so it's all done.
Yeah.
Okay, so recommending full-time police position and recommending the full-time fire position,
Did you,
period.
I'm not in favor of the fire people, but I'll support the police person.
Okay,
So just,
who's in favor of fire?
3-2.
3-2.
I knew that was gonna happen,
I just, he didn't,
You just wanna make sure that, yeah,
no, my
He gets
problem
his-
is that it did not come up until the very end of last night in any presentation that he's done.
okay, and the explanation is because he was told to keep his budget 2%. He's been asking,
So it wasn't the
And he had
police
this
chief who
plan.
did.
I know, and well, he thinks he kept it to 2% by knocking down the other stuff, that's why.
Yeah,
So Scott was like, okay, I can't possibly do that and have the person that I need.
the vote's taken.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's why.
So
And
there
it
are
needs
two
to be
other line
addressed.
items in here, one is the interest on the bond, and the other is the capital reserve fund addition of $150,000. Does the group want the committee to take a position on those items or not? Because they don't impact the operating budget. Is that true?
I'm doing something else. I haven't
Okay.
caught up, because you guys, I have to figure out, so right now, the cost for a new firefighter is $55,959.54.
For salary?
Plus, yeah, ooh,
I
plus,
don't think that's what he said though.
well, I'm going with Julie's numbers versus his.
And
Plus-
the benefits.
Yep, that's what I'm finding. Where's my other? Because she and I talked about this, because I anticipated this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Did
I'm
you?
sure.
Yes, well, I didn't anticipate, I anticipated we dealing with it, so I anticipated having a conversation with her to find out what would that change be. So I'm going to use her numbers, not his. So hopefully you're okay with that.
Well, but that's the lieutenant wages, not the firefighter wages, so it
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
So a two-person plan
He
is.
said he wanted all his full-time people to be lieutenants.
But not
Not
yet.
today, that was,
So
yeah.
I don't understand why you're giving them the salary of a lieutenant.
I'm not giving them salary lieutenant, I'm giving them the salary of a firefighter full-time.
What did you say that was?
Well, with benefits, it's $55,959.54, which
So
is a
with
salary of $41,205.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I thought you were,
No.
I thought you
I
were
thought he
doing
was
them
adding
separately.
benefits too, yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
thought that was before
okay.
benefits.
Well, the 55 is the benefits.
Yes,
With-
that's why I
with
thought you were
benefits.
doing it
Okay.
a different way, I
Plus
apologize.
24,301.97 for health insurance.
I thought that was benefits.
The benefits are the retirement system, FICA, short and long-term disability, and workers' comp and stuff like that.
Okay, not health insurance.
So that gives us.
What do you mean not health insurance?
The
He's saying
was the last
that's
one.
that's
Oh,
added,
oh, okay.
yeah.
So let me. Here, what sheet is this? So if we do 55.959 point, if we do cents, she's gonna yell at me for this. It's okay. 24,301.
I don't believe she yells at you, but that's okay.
Yes, she
I don't
does.
know, I
Yes,
think-
Did she what?
I'm thinking she might.
Not Julie.
I'm glad she doesn't yell at me.
She said it looks like it changes this.
The dinosaur scales keep getting
Yes, my
longer.
dinosaur is very slow.
It's also using Windows 7.
Yeah, I know. We use what we have. My son uses this when he's sitting at the, watching the TV, doing browsing and stuff, and that's all we actually use it for.
Windows 7.
Seven, a terrible, unsafe person, you.
Yeah, well, no, it's still supported until January, so.
That's right, they just came out.
14?
I just got a notice that said, yeah, Windows 7 won't be supported at all.
80,000,
machines?
what?
You have to update your thing, all you have to do is update it.
80,261.54, that's what it adds to the budget in total,
Okay.
okay?
81,254.
80,261.51. So, in terms of things that we change, got too many pieces of paper.
Trying to remember, is public comment allowed when Tom presents on Monday?
It's up to the chair to decide.
Who is chair this year?
You haven't been to a meeting to see me in action?
Scott's the chair.
No,
They alternate,
Jeez,
so you're running this
and
year.
then he's up for
Yeah.
election.
So, fire department. I'll put it in the right lines when I get, I'll put it in the right lines when I get home, but for now, I'm just gonna add it in the fire department.
Did you take out the other things we took out?
I haven't done any of that yet.
Okay.
So I'm just adding 80,000, 261, 51. All right, what are the other ones that we changed?
What's the easiest way to tell you?
Just go down the list.
Recreation capital
We
reserve
took,
fund?
yeah, we took the
Okay, hold on.
Lions,
Let's just not miss anything. So recreation, we made what?
0.
0.
0. What else?
Reval,
Revaluation,
we made what?
5.
5.
5. Okay.
Town building capital reserve, well, that one is a nut, and
35, I guess you said.
35,000.
Yeah,
And
instead
we
of
added
50.
15 to that.
You
or
gotta
what.
add the,
Okay.
I think that's all we did.
So 15 to the,
What did we add 15 to?
We
the
created new.
town
town
building
building.
and
Oh,
equipment maintenance
yeah.
fund.
okay. What else? Transfer station, we kept the same, right?
Yeah, I have nothing else.
So let me just get rid of these question marks.
Cisterns we left alone. Fire equipment we left alone.
Highway we left alone.
Highway left alone.
Highway bridge we left alone.
Yep.
Fire department equipment. Fire department cisterns.
Yep,
Accrued benefits we left at 15.
yep,
Mhm.
Civil defense we left alone.
yep,
Fire department we added a person.
yep.
Other government, general government, 50,000 we left that alone, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
Code enforcement,
Left
we
alone.
made those two, well, she made the tweaks last night. All right.
And you already had the police in there?
Police are already.
The other ones.
Yeah.
So, actually, you need to decide as a group on the town center project, which is really the town hall, the 50,000, 150,000, and the town center project bond, the 38. If you're in support, you're not commenting, or if you're in support. You've got 3 choices.
The town center project, town hall capital reserve fund, is that in this somewhere?
No,
So that only has $50,000 in it?
Yeah, they put 50,000 in last year.
is there actually a new, did they create a new fund?
Yes. Yeah, they did.
Do you wanna know anything?
Didn't we already talk about this? Or
I
we
don't know
didn't?
if you.
We can make a decision. I
Oh,
I know you're not in favor of it.
no, I actually think the town hall needs to be renovated. That's what that $150,000 is. But if
Yeah,
there's
two,
an ex-
two separate
but
things.
if there's an extra $112,000 in the other capital reserve fund that they want to use for the new place, I think they should take the 112, put it here, and we should only put 38 in.
Oh, you're talking about the difference.
Yes. I think it needs $150,000 in it. I totally understand the L-chip grant. I think that's the smartest way to go to save us the most amount of money. But I think they should take the 112 and the other fund that they were gonna use for the new building and put it towards this.
The renovation that Scott's talking about for the town hall is to convert it back to the meeting space it used to be back.
I understand that, but, so
Not
is
to
it
make it a
more,
functional office building.
is there a big difference in that cost?
No, I would think so. The only cost you're gonna get, so for instance, let's say you're not in support of the municipal office building, but you wanna fix the town hall. You're gonna have costs associated with the temporary facility at wherever it is.
Yeah,
You got rent up there, the cost of moving all that stuff. But in terms of the building, the assessment we're getting is converting it back into a meeting hall. So to turn it back into what it is now, I don't think it's gonna be as much, because you're not gonna change the town clerk's office really.
Mm.
You're gonna update electrics, you're gonna update the heating and cooling system, you're gonna fix the floor, you're gonna fix the insulation. That doesn't require any changes really to the town clerk's office.
Mhm.
So it'll probably be less, so let's say it's 400,000 turned back into
Security,
meeting hall.
maybe.
Well, you're not addressing any of those security issues.
Not changing any of the.
Yeah, so that wouldn't be even included.
So there's no security in, you turn it back into a meeting space, there's nothing, there's nobody in there, it's just a meeting space. So really, but you're not addressing any of those particular other issues, but yeah, so 400,000 would probably cover it. You're gonna have those expenses to rent the space. It's about $3,000 for the card store at the Market Basket Plaza per month. So you're gonna have utilities, the $3,000 per month. How long is it gonna take you to do the town hall? You can probably do it in a year. So you're figuring rent's about $36,000. You're gonna have to do some retrofits to that space. The town clerk space has to be segmented off, it has to be secure, so you're gonna have some expenses for that. So maybe 50, 60,000 maybe extra that you'd have to pay. And I suspect you can't take that out of the town building capital reserve fund, because it's not a capital thing, it's,
Right.
so you'd have to fund that from some other place. Because that's part of the thing, if town building, the municipal office complex doesn't pass, what do you do? And I think Mr. Brown's in favor of doing something. So I think that's where we'd probably be at. But the board hasn't had that conversation yet.
I got after Tom last night for using the word only.
Right, yeah.
Only?
And I,
Well,
the
'cause I
reason,
said
the reason is that people are
only-
judgmental, people are very,
It,
people's opinion about how big a number is very.
it all
50
depends,
bucks to one
yeah.
person is coffee money, and to another person, it's a week's groceries.
Right, yeah, exactly. yeah.
So, but I do think that we've gotten this project down to a point where it's likely to appeal to more people than some of the other projects
Right.
that have come before the voters.
That's why when I was addressing it, I was like, okay, how much, and when he said it was going to be, and this is what I said only,
I know.
$50 or $100 a year
I know.
additional in
6
my
months.
taxes,
6 months.
I was like, right, is it 6 months? 6
$50
months,
every-
$100
Yeah.
annually, addition on my taxes, I was like, oh,
That's
okay.
for the average
That
house.
would-
That's
the
right,
median
$230,000.
Right, yeah, so some
Mean.
would be more.
Mean,
Mean.
not
Mean,
average.
oh, that's right,
Mean.
mean, yeah.
Well, median and
Median.
average are the same thing.
Median,
Median.
median? Okay,
Median.
median.
So just
So
of all
that's
the
why I was
houses,
like,
it's
oh,
just the-
okay,
I don't
That
disagree
sounds
with you, I just,
appealing,
it's, I.
but right, and
You
I
have to
should
be
have
really-
thought about, yeah,
Because when.
other people that can't even do that.
Well, the library
think-
trustees got really there was some pushback when that kind of comment was made when they were trying to sell the library down over here.
Right.
There were some comments made about the cost of lattes
Yep.
at Starbucks that offended some
I was sitting in the
people.
back and I felt, that was
Yeah,
inappropriate.
that,
Yeah,
Because-
so,
so.
I don't,
So
I mean, I don't want my taxes to go up
long
either, I
to
can, I'm barely
advertise
paying
and sell
everything and so forth,
this
so
bond.
I
think
understand.
you're gonna have trouble getting people behind it just because it's been too late in the process.
You
Well,
think, oh, as far
to-
as telling them how,
To address that particular thing, the committee that I'm on doing that, the 6 people, they have worked their butts off for the last 2.5 years. And they've been doing the best they can. They're volunteers just like the 5 of
just
us.
like us, yeah.
And they
John
do the best they
Tappan's
can.
devotion to this
Yeah,
has
I'm
been
just,
phenomenal.
And it's timing is maybe off. I think the thing that we have to consider is, yes, it's short. Can we get some information out? The thing is, if we go, the last one we had, which got voted down, was 43% supportive. If we get 50 some odd percent, you're close to that 60%. Maybe we just go, and next year we do it again. we'll see.
I
don't
think
know.
you'll get quite a bit more support if it did go forward the way it is.
The thing is, the thing that I'm hearing,
But
that's,
it
they're
might
not
not.
necessarily against it, they are worried about the middle school. How much that is gonna affect their tax bills. That's what I'm hearing a lot of complaining about. I'm hearing what you said in terms of, we don't have much information about it.
So
But I'm
everything
hearing more
together,
about the middle school. They're
everything
scared
together
about
will
what
be
that's
too
gonna-
much, yeah, at the same time.
That too.
Well,
Yeah.
but that might not pass on the first run
Yeah.
either.
Well, the high school, when they did it, didn't pass them the first time either, so
I think it was like the third time or something.
second or
wasn't
the third,
it? Yeah,
so. But
we'll see.
people are feeling the pinch, some are feeling more than others, and we just have to be, one of the things.
Do
I
all,
never-
do all towns vote on the middle school, or is it only Durham?
No, it's all,
All of us,
All three.
it's on all of our, okay, yeah, good.
You know,
Well,
that,
I mean,
I mean, it should be that way, I just
well, that
wanted to
other
make sure it was
ballot,
like.
well, they give you two
60%.
ballots when you go to vote.
it used to be
You
75,
get the town
I think.
ballot and then the
Uh,
two ballots
66
usually.
and two-thirds,
I think
yeah,
it's
it dropped it
$1.
to 60.
Separate.
Does it have
60
to
step-
be 2/3 overall or 2/3 in each town?
2/3 of the vote, so the vote is all combined.
Overall.
So it's not just me voting for it or Madbeer, where it's the total number of the votes.
Interesting.
So if it's a good turnout, yeah, if you've got like bad turnout, it's a bad day, or people don't want to give it a shoot, a small number of people can affect it.
No,
So-
let's, oh no.
So-
Do you, just because you have a child that's in the system, would you be in favor of a new middle school or
I've been in the
not?
middle school and it's,
So you would
it's a
say yes,
disaster.
okay, yeah. So your answer is yes, you would be in
Yeah.
favor
Yeah.
of a,
I'm in favor of a new middle school. I
You
don't have
are.
any kids in school.
that's what I was
So
wondering.
am I.
My concern is the location of building the new middle school. That's,
My buddy!
that's,
It's a concern I had as well.
that's
Well, there
my
was a
concern
lot
about
of-
the whole thing,
Talk about that.
is the location and the process of building the school and demolishing the other and moving it across. That process, I think,
They're
is,
moving it across, they're gonna replace the old school.
Just
with
like
fields.
Dover did,
Yeah.
just recently,
Yeah.
with the high school.
they're going to be at some point, to the point where they've got to do outside work around the new building, and the old building will be in the way. So if they,
They're taking down that.
everything goes exactly according to plan, that will happen over summer vacation. I'll say no more.
Yeah. The committee that looked at, Don Jeans and I were representatives from Lee, and we had the same comment that you had. The need is there, we toured this school, it's in terrible, well, not terrible, they do the best they can, but it's not good.
Yeah.
But our thing
It's
is,
very
we
old.
wanted it someplace else, because right now, the site that it's on doesn't even make the state standards for the number of kids we have in that school. It's too small. And we got overruled by Durham. Madbury showed up once in a while, they didn't show up consistently.
Isn't it gonna be bigger?
They're
The
like-
four
footprint.
floors, four
They're
floors.
going up.
Up.
They went up because
No.
there's not enough, yeah.
Ah.
So Don and I said the same thing that you just said. I am in favor of the middle school, but not in that location. We got overridden by Durham because Durham wants their kids to walk to school.
Yeah.
And we
that's
said,
one
how
of
many
the big
kids is that?
things.
Oh, hundreds walk to school. Well, when we found out eventually, it's a little over 60 that walk to school because the rest of them, their parents bring them and take them home. They don't walk.
I completely agree with you, but I know that that's not the singular reason.
Right.
It might have been what the people on the committee.
A lot
were
of
most
people wanted
excited
the high
about,
school
but-
and the middle school
They-
close
they
to
I'm
were-
each
gonna speak
other.
one at a time on my hearing
Yeah.
aids just here. Quiet.
Well, so I've been to the presentation by the superintendent and the principal and his whole crew. And one of their big concerns is how many of the high school resources that they use. And so moving it far away, you lose all those resources.
And I know that's one of the discussions. And
That
one
was
of
the
the,
discussion.
And it was cheaper to build on the current site instead of a new site.
Yes.
So
They
they were
bring the
also
daycare and everything.
Didn't
It's like,
he
because the
also,
high school has
didn't
that
the superintendent, when he spoke to
daycare,
the
so that's
select
for
board,
middle school
say that
teachers.
having the building going up
Yeah.
next to the kids was a learning opportunity for the
huge thing.
kids? Believe it, he actually said
Possibly.
that.
Possibly.
What was?
Okay, that
The
sounds like the whole
superintendent,
yes.
who's very slick. When I was at one of the board of selectmen meeting, when he was first talking to our selectmen, said that having the building going up when the students were in the other building would be a learning opportunity for them.
That sounds like a lot of BS.
Oh, of course, but it's just, he said with a
Watching it-
perfectly straight face,
But I did hear.
Watching it being built?
oh yeah, this is, they could talk about it, I guess. I don't know, didn't he say that?
I think
I vaguely remember.
Yeah,
something.
at the time I thought, oh,
They have a very nice design, I like everything that they're doing, but I just want it in a different place. The other thing I asked them, hello?
Hey guys, when you're done, you can just leave this on and we can
Oh,
remote
are
it
we
and
gonna
shut
be
up.
here longer than you, Karen?
I
Come
figured
on.
you guys would have been done. Oh, it's the
No, we're not.
cupcakes.
We're almost
No, thank
done.
you. That was very nice of you, though. Good night, guys.
The off button in the back,
Julie said just leave it.
it'll just run out.
It'll just run out and they'll shut it off. Yep.
Alright,
Okay.
alright.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
thanks Karen, good night. We're almost done, aren't we, guys?
I
Me
think
and my
think we are.
cupcake.
I
we-
think that instead of using $112,000 from the capital reserve, whichever fund it is, 'cause I can't, there's too many names, and putting it towards the 2.9 bond on the town center vision committee, we should recommend that it go towards this $150,000 from the town hall capital reserve fund, and that we only ask the voters to put an additional $38,000 in.
38,000 into which,
The town hall capital reserve fund. That we move 112.
oh,
And-
And scrap the whole project.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
that's not what you're saying.
No.
That's not what I'm saying. So the new project had a $2.9 million price tag.
Yes.
And they were gonna take $112,000 from one of the funds
Yep.
and put it towards that.
Yep.
I think instead of taking it and putting it towards the new project that may
Yeah.
or may not happen, we put it towards this 150 to run a big town hall.
I see, so if, we'll
So
still
we
have
only
money to
need-
renovate the town hall, even if the bond issue doesn't.
Even if it
pass.
doesn't
And we don't
pass.
need $150,000 then. And then if you really want to keep the town center, you pay the 2.9, which is practically the same as
2.8,
2.8.
you're right.
And then this number, instead of being 150, becomes 38.
I see what you're saying. It's an interesting idea, I don't disagree with
Only
you
a
on
numbers person
that. It's just not,
would come up with that. No.
but she teaches math and I'm,
I
what do you
know.
want?
Well,
It's
there's
beyond me.
I
It
don't-
some
sounds
wisdom,
awesome though.
there's some wisdom to that idea.
Can we do it with the, is that a permitted use of that money?
What you'd have to do, that's two warrant articles, actually, because one, you have to take the money out of its current fund, I think.
You're not
Because the problem,
custodians of that money or whatever the.
the town hall builders know we can take money out of there, but it has to be for the purpose of that particular fund. So I'm not sure, because really what LCHIP is gonna look for is where's your money? And I'm not sure if we say, okay, well, wait a minute, what did you say, 38 plus 50, 88,000 is in this fund for this particular purpose for the town hall, and 112,000 is in this other fund for the same thing.
I think she was
I think
suggesting
they'd be
putting
okay.
112 into.
Oh,
the
so if
other.
they don't care, then I would say you just put 38.
Just as long as
in
it's
this.
designated that that's what it's for, I don't think they're gonna,
You have the money, as long as it's designated.
they look
then
at what the
they'll-
warrant article says.
Yeah.
So if you say, some of it's here and then some of it's here, I don't think they're gonna say, no, I want it in a separate fund, I think that would.
So
There's some
Rebecca, could
wisdom
you
to
live
that though,
with
because
the,
it
for the building?
fixes the
town
old
hall.
Yeah.
building, even if the bond fails.
I don't get
He was my husband.
Either way,
it.
That
lady's
those two
distracted
things are
because she
separate.
doesn't have walls.
Well,
There's some
even
earphones.
If the bond,
Still, they're gonna have to move them.
okay, you have to go and put in the money, okay.
It's-
back up.
same
I'll
thing,
lie to
because
myself.
what we have to show on here is, for the town center, town hall, capital reserve fund, 150,000. The only thing that changes, that number stays the same, the source of revenue changes,
Yep.
because you're pulling it from a different, you're not taking it from taxation, you're taking it from the capital reserve.
So what benefit does it have?
Doesn't, well, reduces your tax rate a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that's what we want.
But then that's gonna
Just means
change.
you're financing more.
If it passes.
If
If it passes.
Okay, so I've made that change. So, town center project, for, against, non-commenting. Those are your three choices.
Why do we have to?
These are the pick. Do you want to comment? Do you want to not comment? We don't
We
have.
don't have to say
We
anything,
don't
right?
have to
You
comment.
don't, well, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You can say you don't include it at all, and just don't even reference it. You can say you're unsupportive of it, you can say you're supportive of it.
That 150, or
No,
what are
we
we
already
talking
did
about?
We already
That's
Town
changed
center.
it.
Town
It's
center,
the one above it, the 38,430,
That's an estimate of what the interest would be if the warrant article passed.
and it's 2.8 million, it'll be a little bit more if it's going to be 2.5.
so we're voting whether we put that money in. or
It
not.
doesn't, it
What
won't
does
show up in
everybody-
your budget
No.
anyway.
It'll be separate. You could ignore it if you want.
I'd say take no position.
I would say take no position.
Okay.
Alright, so I will take
Agreed.
it out. Alright, so just so I have all, well, I don't know if you have all the numbers. I think I captured everything you guys talked about, but,
We didn't change a lot, and I think you have all the changes.
okay, alright. Well, the one thing I will do, because this should be relatively easy to fix when I get home, the thing you do have to vote on is the total amount you're recommending. You ready? So you put it in your notes. I'll send copies of all these fixed things to each one of you, just to make sure that you're all okay with it. But it's $4,909,755.51. So
Can you
you need a
just-
motion saying that.
Can you just read me the number one more time?
4909
Oh, nine, that's what it was, 49.
755.51. So $4,909,755.51. And
Last
if
year
you
was
want, we can round
4.8.
up to 51 cents if you want.
Now, that includes, does that include the provisions for the CIP?
Yep.
That doesn't, that includes everything, okay.
Yep.
Because I was thinking the actual operating budget's
Yeah, your actual operating budget is up
3 something.
4.73%. Did you add that?
How did it get to be less?
Even less.
I thought it was 5 point something.
No, it was
percent.
4 before.
It was
4.7, right?
It was 2.74. But then you added the fire department, so now the operating budget is gonna be up 4.73%.
The tax rate increase is the number you're thinking of, Brian, that was 4.07%.
Yeah, the tax rate, well, just the taxes, new tax rate, it would be, using all those assumptions, mind you, $32.58, which is $1.09, or 3.45% more than what it is right now.
So this 15.12 becomes 3.4?
Where are you? No, that's the overall tax rate.
Oh, this,
The town rate goes to $6.62, a rate, an additional 70 cents, or 11.84% increase. We all good with that? I'm not, but,
Say this again, would you?
I'm not, but.
What, in favor of that?
No, I'm not. I'm not in favor of almost a 5% increase in the operating budget. And I'm not in favor of 3.45%. That's a little bit, I don't know, that's just me. I'm not sure where the other two are gonna be. But the thing is, that's just me. If the group is happy with what we're doing, that's fine. You've done what you get your $100 a week or a month.
Yeah.
Year for. So did you get your paperwork so you can get paid this year?
I did get an email about paperwork and I have filled it out.
But you haven't turned it in.
No, I filled it out, I printed it.
Oh,
They
you
have
did,
it. I
okay.
think she's gonna pay
Would
me in March or
you
something.
like to press and get paid for last year too?
She was already planning on doing it.
Oh,
She
good.
told me, but she's
So
gonna
you'll
put a
get
check in March.
200.
I'll get $200.
so
baby.
she's putting us over the budget on that line item. Oh my
Well, shouldn't you-
God.
No, because it
Have
was less
leftovers
last
from
year.
I'm just kidding.
So are we voting on that amount of money?
Well, is
You
there
have to have a
anywhere
vote.
that we can cut?
Hmm?
I mean, we don't know. I would be willing to bet that the select board's not gonna approve that
Well,
amount.
don't-
Is there anywhere else we can cut something?
Don't
So it looks
anticipate
nicer.
what they're gonna do
I understand.
based on just, if you're comfortable with it, that's fine.
I just don't understand.
So like the fire department, that's.
Were you happy
that's-
before we changed the fire department, or were you still unhappy?
Well,
I don't.
Just
Let
out of
me-
curiosity.
Still
let
gonna.
me change the fire department out and let's see how happy I get. Oh, yes, I'm much happier now.
How much does it really change? I mean, how much does that $84,000 or $81,000 change?
Well, if we take out the fire department, it goes back to the operating budget increases 2.74%.
The total budget.
No, the operating budget, that's the
Where-
top part, the top part.
Well, it's labeled as total budget, so I'm just reading the.
Oh, no, not that one.
Which
The
one?
top one, the top section goes back to the 2.74%. That's really the operating budget.
So what's the difference between that and the rest?
The rest of them are all warrant articles.
All of these are warrant
All
articles?
these are warrant articles.
So this number with the firefighter you said was what percent? I was looking at the wrong line.
With the firefighter,
Say Control Z.
I just did that.
Oh, look at you.
4.73%.
I hear what you're saying.
I know how to do control Y too.
I'm
so-
sorry, I'm sorry.
That's
It
okay.
seemed like it was gonna be a really hard
No, no,
move.
no.
I just
So,
don't understand.
It doesn't
if you
look like it
take-
would be that big of an increase, but
it's
in
80
the
some odd thousand,
percentage.
it's, you know.
for that percentage though, that's like.
So, if you took the fire person out,
The rule of thumb that Julie gave us a couple of years ago is for every 100 grand, it changes, 100 grand changes the tax rate of
23 cents.
23 cents.
Yep, 23
So,
cents. That's what the number is this year.
okay,
Before it was like 25 cents. It depends on what the evaluation is.
but it's for discussion purposes.
Yeah.
100 grand's about a
So
quarter.
if you took out the fire department, the tax rate, the overall tax rate is 32.49. That's a dollar increase over what it is now. That's a 3.17% increase. I could live with that.
You say you could?
I could live with that.
If you took out,
Only if there's not a fire.
yeah,
Don't
That's
you
the
know if you're a
thing.
select person, they come to your house before anybody
I
else's
doubt
anyway, so.
that. They even know
No,
where you
they
live.
don't. They just, no. We don't get any special treatment.
Fox Garrison.
The reality of it is, to get to where we want to be, this is, if you think that that's what we have to ultimately do for staffing for the fire department,
Yeah,
then we're gonna have to make these decisions. And this is where we're gonna have to be, and some years are gonna be worse than other years.
Mm.
And there's no way around it. If you're gonna add
and we're
people,
recommending it, and we can recommend it each year,
you can recommend all you want, but
and
it-
then they're
they're
gonna
gonna
do
make
what
their own
they
decisions.
need to do anyway, so.
but
I'm of the maybe false impression that the more realistically that we are in our presentation, the more realistic the other two selectmen may be in their decision.
Oh, minusing this selectman? I don't know.
are we about done, guys?
That was talking about your conservatism.
We're keeping it the way it is. What is it?
I'm
And-
sensitive to what the tax rate's gonna affect people. that
Of
live
course.
in
It's-
And
And
that's
your job.
And you should, and that's
That's your
what,
job.
and we,
Because if you notice, I agreed with you.
that's why we love you for that. But we,
That's the only reason.
but,
Huh?
That's the only reason he likes me.
Now, have we made a decision on what the number is we're gonna vote on?
Can we vote tonight,
She
or do
wrote it
we have to
down.
wait for you to send us a number
No,
in the
the
morning?
thing you need to do is you need to vote on what the total number is.
But do you have the total number?
Yes, I
He
do.
gave it
That's,
to-
okay, that is the number, you're not,
Yeah, if you take the firefighter out, you know,
no, we're gonna leave the firefighter in.
so, yeah, so
Okay, so,
I think, well, wait a minute, what did it do? Hold on,
you must have hit Control Z too many times.
probably, hold on.
Did you break it? Did it explode? Is there smoke coming out of this end?
there is
No, it's
nothing,
not. Our scale's
You do not
falling
see any
off it.
smoke.
there is nothing in the budget. It's been wiped out.
There is no
So,
budget.
That's there.
Scott will be up all night retyping it, so you can be submit it at 10 a.m. tomorrow.
Oh, God.
Yes, I must have changed something because I'm not getting 4909, I'm getting 4948, you know.
It
So
went up
that's
another
38.
40,000.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was.
What, you hit
I
Control Z?
Control Z too many times. It's your fault. You told me to Control Z too many times.
I only said to do it one time.
Now I get the, so you need a motion, if you're in agreement, for the $4,909,755.51. if I can make a suggestion, can we either round up or round down that 51 cents? Because I'm gonna get yelled at about that.
You're gonna get yelled at?
So
So-
make it 76
If you're amenable,
or 56.
if you're amenable,
Who's gonna yell at you?
Julie.
Julie will,
Well, why did she get the 51 cents somewhere else?
because that was my calculation.
Oh.
So, if you're amenable, let's round that, so $4,909,756. So, you need a motion to approve that amount.
So moved.
Discussion?
Oh, you gonna
Any
get a second?
discussion? Are we all
Wait a
set?
second?
And
Do we need a second?
And a second.
Can I second as a
You can do whatever
Okay.
you want, you're in charge.
second?
Any discussion?
Any discussion?
Pat wants to go home.
Ayes?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Aye.
You're in favor then?
Any opposed?
Nay.
Oh, you nayed? Oh, I thought it was gonna be the only nay.
You said aye, if you
I
remember
know, because I
correctly.
thought it was gonna be the only nay.
There we go.
Oh, you're right.
Approved.
You got 4 ayes and 1 nay.
Are you looking for
Wait a second,
for us
We're
to
not
come to
counting
the
you in the
meeting on
vote?
Monday?
Oh, I did, I voted for it.
You voted
He
for it?
voted against it.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you
I
not just
thought
say
I was gonna
four
be
and
the only
one?
nay, so I voted for it.
Okay, so 5 and 1.
There are only
No,
5 of us
4.
here, 4 and 1.
4 and 1. Alice is not here. Did Alice vote through the
I,
nether to you?
she is, she's voting. I'm like, wait, then hold on.
Probably. What did she say on her phone to you?
I can imagine what she said.
The other thing I
What?
forgot is we were being recorded, so she's gonna see whatever I just said.
Yeah. Oh.
You could take the thing and just destroy it, and we didn't have that.
The meeting is over.
Do you need us to come to the meeting on Monday night?
I cannot.
If you would like
At
to
another
come
board.
If I can, I will.
for moral support, that would
I don't
be
bring
wonderful.
cupcakes, no.
So I gotta write
Do you have what
something
you need?
up. Well, I'm gonna have all the minutes, I'm assuming, and then I'll try and type something up. Well, I will type something up and send it to you guys to look at before
Yeah.
Monday. So do it over the weekend, and then you can get back to me and just say yeah or no,
Well, I'll make the changes to this, I should,
and you can get
Be able
that
to
to
do that
Julie.
tonight.
Yeah.
then you can just look on this column and just see, and just address those things that went up or down. If it's 50 cents, don't, but if it's like 19,000, you're gonna have to address it.
What did you want me to say for the town center, town hall capital reserve fund? Do we wanna talk about the $112,000 in the notes, or just say, change it to 38,000?
You should say that your suggestion is to take 112,000 to fund that particular thing
Okay.
out of the town building capital reserve fund, and
Town building.
38,000 to come from taxation.
Building. Why do all these things have like 5 names? Cause on here it's called the administrative building.
Well, that's the planning board versus the ABC versus the state of New Hampshire versus the
All
selectmen's
the
office.
same thing. Okay,
All right.
then you're.
So I'll update that and send that to you, and I'll update this. So take a quick look to make sure that I captured everything. The number will be the number, but if there's something that we missed or whatever,
Thank you for all your work, Scott.
Yeah,
You spent a lot of
thanks
time
for
doing all your
everybody's.
computer stuff.
Thank you very much. Everybody, do we have a motion
So moved.
to adjourn?
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
uh,
Nays?
We don't see